welcome to Doors and Corners, a sci-fi and fantasy film commentary podcast. I'm Brian.
And I'm Zach. And every Friday we sit down and watch a science fiction or fantasy film and give our 2 cents on its quality, production, story, and trivia.
We watch the film together, but without sounds or visuals provided to avoid copyright issues. But if you do have access, we encourage you to join us and follow along.
Here, we like to keep things casual, and there may be discussions of spoilers or sensitive materials or language. But we do try and keep things clean and family-friendly. Ultimately, the goal of this podcast is to create the experience of us all sitting down and watching this movie together.
So get ready to hit that play button, because we're about to get started.
Damn Doors and Corners, I mean, that's where they get you.
Welcome back to Doors and Corners. I'm Brian.
I'm Zach.
And we're back with not Star Wars. Very not Star Wars.
Not very not Star Wars, just adjacently not Star Wars.
Just adjacently not Star Wars. Hook from Steven Spielberg.
From Steven Spielberg, but also incorporating elements into the film, such as John Williams of Star Wars, George Lucas and Carrie Fisher of Star Wars.
That's right.
As well as some production designers.
Yeah. Well, I mean, ILM obviously heavily involved. Has ILM done like everything Spielberg's ever done?
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah, it's like,
I mean, not all of it, but I believe that they have been involved in every single movie that he has made, even if they did have different production houses for certain other scenes mixed in with them.
Well, especially as they grew in the 90s. Yeah, it wasn't like just one team anymore. But yeah, I mean, and I know John Williams has scored like every Spielberg film except like what, 1 or 2 of them. And I know.
Yeah, pretty close.
John Williams has officially retired at this point, right?
Yes, I believe that he's still writing music, but he's not doing movies anymore. And I actually recently saw a video of him. He is in his early 90s now, and he is in a wheelchair now.
Oh.
He's as dark as it is. He's on my ghoul pool, and I think that we will be mourning him soon.
Yeah, that's. Legend deserves every bit of that status. And this is, we'll talk about this. I have very mixed thoughts on this film, but his score is excellent. The main theme of this film is, I think, one of those. I wouldn't call it underappreciated because it's definitely, most people will bring it up if they know John Williams' work, but it's right up there, with like E.T. and Jurassic Park and obviously Star Wars and Superman and Indiana Jones. But I think that as a theme, it is a strong theme in this movie that he wrote.
I agree, and I think that you can see that in his later work, because he had some, similar-ish music in previous movies, but after this, you start seeing themes that he did in this movie pop up throughout his entire works and filmography. Stuff like Home Alone and the Harry Potter movies, and there's another one that I can't think of off the top of my head, where it sounds like Hook. And if you read into the background of this movie with the original intent in its creation, then I think, as some people may know, this movie was originally written as a musical. And John Williams actually worked with a lyricist and wrote a bunch of music for this movie. And play music and song pieces and all this stuff that was never used. And I think that he really loved the work that he did on it and went back to it again and again and again in other films down the road.
I'd love to hear John Williams, his take on like a musical music would be really interesting. And
this would have been his first time.
Yeah.
And
did he
never did it again.
Do you know off the top of your head, did he do West Side Story remake with Spielberg? Was that him?
I don't believe so.
I think he was done by that point.
I believe so too. I believe that Rise of Skywalker was going to be his last movie.
Yeah.
Oh, what a fart to go out on.
Because the remake of that was... I'm looking right now.
2021.
Music by Leonard Bernstein. No, that's who wrote
Leonard
it.
Bernstein.
Yeah,
Leonard Bernstein.
I'm sorry, it's late. No, that yeah.
Leonard Bernstein is, I mean, he wrote the original music. He's
Yeah, I think
absolutely iconic.
yeah, they kept a lot of the original. Yeah. Actually, it was a pretty solid film, by the way. But yeah, I didn't expect a whole lot out of it, and actually, it was pretty good. But yeah, I think that the theme there is good. It really captures. I mean, and Spielberg, especially 80s and early 90s Spielberg. Before he kind of started to make the jump into sci-fi again. In the late 90s and Jurassic Park and stuff. But I mean, his early his kid stuff. We'll just call it that. His E.T. and this and I always think of Close Encounters as a kid thing, even though it's not. It's about adults, but it has like a childhood kind of spirit about it, if that makes sense. And then with A Rising Sun and Spielberg, he had those kind of, and Spielberg famously, I know that he likes working with kids. He's like a director that actually enjoys working with young people, and is good with them. So I feel like his movies, the movies that have that kind of kid perspective in them, John Williams has a style that he kind of brings to those type of movies. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And
But-
also, just a really, really quick thing to finish off the John Williams thing. He was a musical consultant on West Side Story, but the last two things that he actually made that weren't just like accreditation because of reused music were the creation of two themes for TV shows. One of them being the Kenobi show. He wrote a unique theme for it. And the other being the Lost in Space TV show that was on Netflix.
I had no idea he had a connection to that. I saw a few episodes of that show. Interesting. That's cool that I didn't realize he came back and worked on Kenobi. That's, I mean, even as much as I feel mixed on that show, that's cool.
Yeah.
So, well,
I would talk more about it, but it is not the time to be talking.
It is
We
not.
should be talking about this.
Yeah. Well, we got 2 hours and 21 minutes tonight. So let's why don't you give us the rundown and then we'll jump into this.
We're gonna jump right into this, but the rundown is that this is Hook. Hook, a childhood movie of mine and of Brian's, especially a childhood movie of mine as I was 18 days old when this movie was released. It was released in 1991. It is PG, 2 hours and 22 minutes long, directed by Steven Spielberg, written by J.M. Barrie, James V. Hart, technically a writer's credit to previous director Nick Castle, and uncredited rewrites by Carrie Fisher. Starring Robin Williams, Dustin Hoffman, Julia Roberts, Bob Hoskins, and Dame Maggie Smith.
Yeah, that's a pretty good cast in this for sure. What's crazy too is that
there's a whole bunch more I could put on there. Oh, Dante Bosco. I forgot Dante Bosco. Love that guy.
what was crazy too to me is that this is an era where Dustin Hoffman had he and Robin Williams were billed together essentially. We think of Robin Williams as the massive thing, but Dustin Hoffman at this point in his career was a big deal also.
Yeah.
I mean, and not that he shouldn't deserve it. He's a fantastic actor, but I think in hindsight, most people think of Robin Williams much bigger and forget that at the time, yeah. Anyways,
he is not dead. He's just old. Okay.
When you said that, I'm like,
Wow.
I don't feel confident either way. I mean, he's in that generation that it wouldn't surprise me, but I don't remember hearing about that. I feel like his
Right?
death would definitely pop up in the entertainment news that I generally browse.
Right?
But,
I mean, when they announced Gene Hackman was dead, which happened recently, time of recording, I was sitting there going, "Oh dang! I thought he was already dead."
Aw.
Dang, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Oh, and that, tragic story there. But go look that up if you're listening to this and you don't know what I'm talking about. Yeah. Well, let's get ready to that play button. We will definitely have some time to chat as we watch this. But gonna hit that play button in 3, 2, 1, go.
Nay. Okay.
TriStar.
But yeah, I was only 18 days old when this came out.
See, I was 9.
Hmm.
And I remember seeing
9,
this in
wow.
theaters. I remember this was one that my mom really loved this movie. But my mom also, anybody who knows my mom, just would understand how much she adores Robin Williams. And has, because my mom has a little bit of that manic energy when she gets kind of creative, and so she always just loved and identified his style.
Mm.
I mean, gosh, I we watched Aladdin more than any other Disney film for no better reason than because she just loved hearing his voice.
Okay. Yeah, I myself, the most I ever had in terms of the, I messed up my words there. The most exposure I ever really had to Peter Pan was the old classic movie. And my mom, she thought it was fun, but we never read the story as kids or anything like that. And my parents didn't really care for this movie. They didn't like the overacting, the crazy production design. They thought that it was a fairly weak movie. But us kids really liked it. So we watched it a lot. My sister Taryn, glowing opinion of this movie. Cannot talk highly enough about it while I'm sitting here going, oh, you know what? There's some weaknesses here, but I'm still very nostalgic.
Yeah, no, as a quick overview that we'll get into more detail on, I'm in the same vein. I have a lot of nostalgic love for this movie. It has a lot of good memories, and it genuinely makes me laugh. Multiple times throughout it. I think Robin Williams is just kind of doing his thing, which I appreciate and I enjoy. But I also just I think that there's issues in this film that we'll talk about. I think that I don't love, this is going to sound like heresy to some people, and other people are going to totally agree with me. I don't love the aesthetic of Neverland. I think that it looks like it reminds me of the Hangout Club that they had in the first Ninja Turtles movie.
Hmm. I get where that comes from, but at the same time, I think that it's like I think it fits the vibe of the movie perfectly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
yeah, I get it, and it's also, I think it's a little bit 90s. The whole skate park and basketball, and just kind of that. I do think that this is a very 90s movie.
I would agree with that, and that is an aspect of it that I'm also not the biggest fan of.
I love the umpire has a Santa Claus hat on, by the way. Then his beard was like over his. Sorry, the little detail there.
Yes, technically, this is a Christmas movie. Yeah, so the aesthetic of Neverland, I don't know. I guess that part of me really likes it because it's not all like CGI and green screen, which is kind of what they started to get into in the 90s, and it's just early enough in that it felt like that.
Yeah. Well, I know that Spielberg has talked about this movie as having, he has his problems with it, but he said in one of his interviews, and I forget which one, but that he really loves the opening, basically up until they go to Neverland. He really thinks that that's like the strongest part of the movie. I was curious what you thought about that, Zach, because I just literally rewatched this today before we recorded this. I need to remind myself of it. And I kind of agree with that. But again, it's very personal. Like I said, I already kind of don't, the aesthetic of Neverland and some of the events there, I feel very just kind of straightforward with some good laughs. But the setting up of the family dynamic and the kids and Robin Williams kind of he's still kind of silly, but he's trying to play it straight as like a big time lawyer, but he's still very much Robin Williams. It's kind of some fun stuff here. And I feel for his kids. I feel like that's well done. Just like, I don't know. What do you think of just the opening third of this movie?
I think it feels like every other 90s movie about a bad dad. It feels like the Santa Claus. It feels like Liar Liar. It's the same thing. It's workaholic dad, often on the cell phone, missing the kid's performance of some kind. And it's unremarkable because of how many things I think copied it. If you can even say that they did copy it, I'm just kind of giving them the benefit of the doubt on it.
Yeah.
I do like it though. I don't dislike it by any means. It's just not. It's nothing incredible to me. People talk about, oh, I hate it. I think it's boring. Some of the people with heavy nostalgia who I watched about it didn't like it. I think that it's perfectly adequate for setting everything up. I love the idea of Peter Pan's profession quite literally being like he is a pirate.
Yeah.
You know, he is a lawyer. He is and the epitome of societal evil by many people's metric. And I think that that's a really interesting idea and thought.
Yeah.
And I like that a lot.
It is. I mean, we were talking a little bit before we started recording that I mixed on the overall like message of this film as far as like how well it does it and kind of everything. I do think that there's some things it does well, especially when it comes to like if you're gonna, like you said, if you're gonna show Peter Pan as being the exact opposite of what you hope he would have grown up to be like. Yeah, a corporate lawyer on Wall Street. Yeah, that's pretty good on the just worst case scenario. It's interesting too that they I do love, it's a tiny thing, but I like the whole he doesn't like to fly. It's very like on the nose, but it also is just fun.
Yeah, I liked it too. Also, there was quick thing. The captain's voice on the voiceover was Dustin Hoffman, which because one of the things about the play is that the actor who plays Hook is always supposed to also play the father of the Darlings, whether in voice or in play.
Yeah.
And so they wanted to incorporate him somehow into this world. So they're like, oh, we'll make him the captain of the ship. That'll be nice and easy without being too crazy.
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of interesting.
Well, because you have
Also,
him and then you have Smee at the end, right? Yeah.
Yeah, the Smee at the end's a little confusing to me, but whatever. I heard an absolutely amazing description of this.
Oh gosh.
Which
Sorry,
is
I'm actually laughing at this scene, but go ahead.
This little boy is doing so well in this scene because he himself is he's being a little shit in the way that only a 12-year-old boy could be a little shit. And so it's just like it's a perfect performance. I forgot about that.
Yeah. I'm not sure you can. I love that is the perfect answer. That is exactly. I am a child.
Right?
Come on, Dad.
Okay. Do you want an extra funny piece of trivia there, Brian?
Go for it.
That young man is a lawyer. He grew up, got out of acting, and he became a lawyer and successful enough that he was actually appointed to a special committee by Barack Obama during the Obama administration.
Really?
Yeah.
Did he do
I
any
thought
other?
That was funny. A little bit, not much.
Okay. So I'm just this whole thing, the whole. I mean, this is where a lot of the humor. I do laugh a lot of this movie, and just this whole,
kind of good man.
Land of manners, and then it's snowing, and then it's choking on the gum, and it's just funny. This actress, just the little bit part, and she nails that. Just that.
I never understood her.
I've known people like this in my life, though. Just that they're just like everything's excited. They live on a different social planet than everybody else.
Does she remind you a little bit of like your wife or something?
No. I have some extended family that are similar. That like just you have to like mentally prepare yourself whenever you meet them because it's gonna just take everything out of you. And they're sweet. They're like,
okay.
and they're good. That's the thing is like they're good people. Like it's not because they're obnoxious or somehow bad. I don't know. It's just I don't know. They put out like their energy level is just nutty.
Oh my god. Yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about. I don't actually have anybody in my family like that. Maybe I'm that person.
I lost my marbles.
No, I know a lot of people like that. Those of you who know Patrick, who regularly joins us, his brother. Oh my god. That man, the energy that he puts out. It's like trying to keep up with an Energizer bunny with lots of opinions.
I've met him like once, and I believe you though. I feel like I should know him better, but I just for some reason we haven't connected very often. But yeah, the
Yep.
okay, she has looked old for a long time.
Yes. Maggie Smith has been old since before I was born.
And she's a fantastic
I didn't
actress.
know. I didn't know that this was makeup. Okay? A lot of it was makeup. She was not nearly this old.
Yeah, because you see her in
And-
Harry Potter, and she looks younger than this. And that's, what, 20
Yeah.
years later?
Yeah, 10. But
What?
Well, then actually, I would say that you're right. 20 years later, because this is what she looked like in like Half-Blood Prince and Deathly Hallows, which was only a few years before she passed.
Yeah.
Um,
I love this, like, prepared speech. Thank you very much. She's like, oh, good.
it's
Goodness,
like,
goodness.
you're supposed to tell me it's not coming from you; it's coming from other people. Yeah.
The daughter is also. I know that Jack kind of gets more attention in this movie as the kid, but like
Yeah.
the daughter is definitely, I feel like she does kind of emotionally ground the kids. I mean, Jack's obviously the big, he's the one that has the doubts later, and then Hook tries to seduce, and he's the one where there's the main conflict between Peter. But I do think the daughter is a
Well,
like
a parent?
she
Mhm. Oh, sorry.
I would just mean she's important. I'm glad that they have her also, because if they had had both kids, I think be a little more cynical and emotionally that she's just like, no, it's fine. It helps a little bit, but also that she's like, she has faith. She has more faith, more innocence. in a way.
Yeah. I mean, have you ever seen the show Gravity Falls?
I don't think so.
Oh, dude, you need to watch it. You would love it. It's only 2 seasons. It's on Disney Plus. Watch it. It's a kids show that's also for the adults. I promise you won't be disappointed.
Okay.
But the 2 twins that lead the show, Dipper and Mabel, I swear they're just like these two. Well, not just like, but there's enough that reminds me of them that it kind of makes me smile. Oh, if you notice behind him, the wardrobe is straight out of Beauty and the Beast. Yeah, not straight out of, but very, very close. And supposedly one of the inspirations there. And, yeah. I
How
love
often-
Robin Williams in this movie. He does so good. Just an incredible job.
Oh yeah. Well, I don't think I'm trying to think of a movie where I've felt like he just kind of phoned it in. He really was just. Go ahead.
Oh, nothing. I was just gonna say, every single time he turns around in this movie, he does the hips thing. Like he puts his hands on his hips,
Yeah.
standing like classic Peter Pan.
Pose.
Yeah.
Do. One thing I'm always reminded of when I watch this era of filmmaking was what a like power thing it was to have this size of a cell phone back then. Like I remember when my parents finally got their first one, it was a big deal. It was like you're important because only important people have cell phones like this. And
Yeah.
again, it's just one of those like plot elements that is so. It's just changed. So many problems. The use of shadows in this film.
Yeah. Dude, right?
Oh,
Well,
gosh.
the whole like shadow thing in Peter Parker in Peter Pan was like
Parker.
a really big deal.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Ugh. Ugh. It makes me sad. This scene is genuinely like,
Yeah.
oh, it hurts.
Well, I think
You
part
know-
of it is too, and this is where I do think casting can really add to it. That when you have somebody like Robin Williams, seeing Robin Williams get mad at somebody, like have an
Mhm.
outburst like that, like act mean,
Yeah.
adds to it because he had a lot of personal demons, but he was, just known for being the good, just he's happy. And, so it's like the scene's played well, but then the fact that it's him just makes it that much more potent.
It does. It really does. So, do you know why they don't play the daughter as much as they do the son in this movie?
Does it have to do with the actress or?
No, it's because Steven Spielberg has massive daddy issues that translates over to every single one of his movies. And so it had to be a father-son thing.
Yeah. I mean, I knew about Steven Spielberg, but I was Yeah, because he has that in most of his kid movies. Well, and it's like
I can't.
the absent dad, or like the dad who just doesn't care about any of this. I mean, E.T. obviously the dad's missing, and even in Jurassic Park, the idea that I think it's hinted at that like dad has got some issues there, and yeah,
Yeah, think of Minority Report, the only other Steven Spielberg movie we've
Oh, yeah.
watched so far.
yep,
It's all about a dad who lost his son.
yeah. Well, because his dad, I'm trying to think of is I literally just read his name in something, and it's gone out of my head. It's just left.
Left the building.
It has, but
Yeah.
his wife too. I always, for some reason, in my mind, I remembered the his wife being played by somebody more notable, and not that she does a bad job at all, but and I watched this again today. I was like, that's right. For some reason, and I know it's obviously not true, but like in my mind, I remembered it being is it Emma Thompson or
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, British actress, blonde, pretty, known.
yeah.
I could see somebody thinking that.
It just was
Um,
obviously in my mind, wrong, but
I think that you're thinking of the fact that her that young version of her is played by Gwyneth Paltrow,
yeah, that
young and
surprised
unknown
me.
Gwyneth Paltrow.
Yeah, I totally forgot about that when I watched this. I was like, oh my gosh, that's right, it's Gwyneth, and she's like they aged
Well,
her
Gwyneth-
three times.
Gwyneth Paltrow has kind of she's like a nepo baby, a diet nepo baby, because she's not actually a nepo baby, but Steven Spielberg is her godfather.
Mm,
So it's like, it's a little bit,
yeah. Okay, we
I
haven't
don't
quite
like
gotten to it yet, but I was curious. I don't care so much about the behind the scenes drama, whether it was true or not. But the one casting I always thought was odd was actually Julie Roberts.
I've never liked Julia Roberts, so I'm biased. I don't like her in this movie. I think that she's kind of weird looking, and to put her in a movie called Pretty Woman is kind of a disservice to the phrase Pretty Woman.
Aww.
I know that's really mean to say. I really don't like her, and there's something about her face that's genuinely off-putting to me. As the kids say these days, she gives me the ick. But
do you think that she's a
this is
talented
not
actress
the
in like an
only-
objective way, or did you honestly not find her to be a good actress? Also,
I haven't seen a lot of Julia Roberts movies. I think she did okay in like the second Ocean's 11 movie where she plays somebody pretending to be Julia Roberts at one point.
yeah,
Um,
that part with Bruce Willis.
yeah. But there's I don't know. She's never impressed me. She's never been interesting to me. I don't think she's good in this movie. Several other people around this time have commented that she was going through some really rough times and her behavior was not the best.
Yeah,
So I'm more inclined to believe the people sitting there saying that she was a problem because it sounds like she was acting like a problem.
well, even
But
Spielberg, I know.
I also don't know the full story. So.
Yeah, well, I know that Spielberg has only ever said that it was just bad timing, which it's kind of to me like he's never been more specific than that. But that does to me kind of confirm that she was going through some stuff maybe that just made it worse. But because I've seen some movies where I genuinely think that she acts well in. Not that we need to get into those, but like I find her to be fine. There's something about her Tinkerbell that it just sits weird in this film to me. It's part of it is that she's not charming. Even though Tinkerbell is supposed to be not necessarily charming, but just kind of, actually Tinkerbell is supposed to have a little bit of an attitude. But she doesn't really have that either. It's just, I guess I find it kind of flat in a way.
Yeah. I don't think she has charm or charisma in this movie. I think that playing her as more tomboyish was a mistake. They rewrote the character and the vibe to fit her better. She was originally supposed to be more like the cartoon version of Tinkerbell, who was a bit more of a brat. And I think that they should have kept the brat.
Yeah.
and you know they didn't.
Yeah,
They
because
went for this version, and it's just kind of like,
well, and I also
well, I guess.
as much as it is straight out of, the original story in the Disney cartoon, I they don't sell in this movie that she's in love with Peter to me. Like it's just like, all right. I mean, it's like there because it's been there in the story, but for lack of better terms, I don't believe it. I don't believe that it's true in their relationship in this movie.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I've also never felt that. I've never really liked the idea. It's always felt kind of icky to me. And it feels extra icky in this movie for some reason.
Yeah. Well, it's like, yeah, when she gets big way later in the movie, and there's like that one. Yeah, it just
I
it
hate
is.
that
It
so
just
much.
it feels like I can't think of a better word for it. It feels a little incesty, like
Yeah. 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 Some of her role was rewritten actually, um, because they didn't like the dialogue of the original thing, and it was rewritten actually by an up and coming script writer who wasn't super well known for their writing by the name of Carrie Fisher.
yeah.
Brought her in specially to work on Tinkerbell's dialogue.
Well, because she's
This
yeah,
is a genuinely freaky moment.
it is. Yeah. No, I think a lot of people don't remember that Carrie Fisher was also like creatively just a very just creative person. That she had a lot of talent besides just acting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do think so.
Um,
Spielberg does these kind of. I mean, this is very much in his style. Just the kind of the environmental. I love that the handles look like eyes, like cat eyes. There, the way the
yeah.
reflections.
But tell me you don't hear like some Harry Potter in this.
Oh,
Like scene.
100%. Love the sound effect of the turning. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a very classic Spielberg sequence as far as just he likes just like the really bright lights and the environmental the whooshing, the air, and then the covers start to come. I mean, I know we're not quite there yet, but it's very Spielberg Spielbergian
Spielbergian.
Spielbergian. I do.
It feels like Close Encounters.
It
Like
does.
that scene right there.
Yeah. I do love to. Oh gosh, the green. I do. It makes you wonder. Like, did nobody else like notice whatever this was going on? Like neighbors,
It's
anything?
magic, bro. Did you ever think about the fact that like at this time Spielberg was known as a fantasy director more than anything? Like he hadn't done
Well,
any major science fiction yet.
well, when was E.T. right after this? No,
E.T.
E.T.
was
before
before
this.
it,
Yeah,
but even that has like it's considered science fiction,
yeah,
but it has like a more fantastical feel to it. He is known today for being really big about his science fiction. You think of stuff like Jurassic Park 3 years after this. You think of
yeah.
War of the Worlds, Minority Report, Ready Player One, other things like that. He's um, quite notable for his work as science fiction, but it hadn't really begun.
But it was
They were
'cause
banking on him being a big fantasy director for this movie.
yeah. Well, because he had, you had starting with Jaws in '75, then Close Encounter,
Mhm.
but then the indie movies. He had made all three indie movies at this point, and
Mhm.
E.T. and Close Encounters. I guess what's funny. I I'm never quite sure how to categorize Indiana. Like, is it science fiction? Is it fantasy? Is it historical fiction? Is it I'm not. And I guess you could look at those as being fantasy esque in a lot of their
Mhm.
structure and how they go. Although they're more of
Well,
kind of action adventure historical fiction, if that makes sense to me.
yeah. Well, you kind of have to think about like what he would have been known for at this point, which is stuff like E.T., Raiders of the Lost Ark, but also stuff like Amazing Stories. He um had headed that up, you know? So
Yeah.
he was three Indiana Jones deep. He'd also had stuff like the movie Always, Uh, the Twilight Zone movie. He directed one of the segments on that. Other things like that. So at this time, he was mostly known as a fantasy director,
Yeah.
like an
Well, 'cause
adventure fantasy director.
yeah. Well, okay, he'd already done The Color Purple too. That was what I was just
Mhm.
pulled up his filmography
I'm not
really
calling that
fast.
fantasy.
No, but what I mean is I just was kind of thinking because then it was, he did Jurassic Parks,
Empire of the Sun.
but then I think between his later 2000 stuff, but then late 90s where he did Schindler's List and then Private Ryan were kind of the movies that also made him like he can do pretty much anything. I mean, it's still he has a feel, but it's a Spielberg movie. I feel like, but yeah, I was pulling up those two movies as like heavy drama films.
Yeah.
And but yeah, fantasy, and it's like he's. I can see that. It's funny. I just have never thought of Spielberg as like a fantasy director.
Yeah, me neither. I always
But,
think of him as
yeah.
just kind of a well-rounded master director with a particular bend towards science
Do
fiction.
you
But
somehow?
the two science fictions that he done so far, being E.T. and that other the Close Encounters,
Yeah.
were very fantasy-esque.
Yeah. Do you? Okay, and I was realizing this because I kind of I separate for whatever reason in my mind fairy tales and fantasy, and I think I would almost go that like I think of this as like a fairy tale movie, like a comedy fairy tale. And if you weren't going to go
Okay.
sci-fi on Close Encounters and E.T., I'd almost think of them the same way. I think it has to do with like maybe the structure in my mind, as far as and that they're kind of parables using fantastic ideas, and fantasy is a little bit. It takes itself more seriously to me. Like it really tries to be like this is a real like world, and we're like building the whole thing, and this is something that like could exist. Versus a fairy tale is like, no, this is supposed to be like there's things you're not gonna get explanations for a lot of stuff, and you're gonna get just like the whole point of the story is to make a point about a theme or an idea, and use a fantastical element to do it. I think I'm like sorry, this is a in process thought you're getting here, very rough draft of it, but I've always thought of those as kind of separate, and so when I think of Spielberg, I think of a lot of fairy tale esque stories, but I've always kind of in my mind thought of those as being different than fantasy. Does that make any sense at all?
It does make sense. The thing is that you're wrong. No,
No, thanks, buddy.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. No, in my head, fantasy and fairy tale have always been interconnected because many of the fantasies that I like are just kind of like souped up fairy tales. If you Tolkien, for example, has an incredible essay called On Fairy Stories. And it's about writing fantasy. It's about writing fairy tales. And I think that it's a brilliant piece of work. So I guess that in my head they are the same because Tolkien and C.S. Lewis,
Mhm.
were very much about fantasies and fairy tales, like kind of taking the classic legend, mythology, fairy tale, and tying them into fantasy
Yeah,
and the creation of what we know as like the foundation of fantasy today.
yeah, and I mean what you're saying. I can't disagree with that at all. I think it's more of just my own mental category. I
Oh, I
what
thought you were
you're
going to say
saying.
defect.
No, I was, wow, you okay? You're feeling spicy tonight, man. I do like this whole sequence, but sorry to like get back to the actual movie here really fast. I do want to
Oh,
say
right.
this whole sequence as she's kind of revealing the truth. I do feel again full on Peter Pan stance as he looks at the book. the The way this is revealed, the tone of it, that she's like kind of trying to gently let him know, but still be very insistent. Like it's a well acted scene, and then cutting right to him being I love that he's a little bit intoxicated when he meets Tinkerbell. I think that was brilliant to just like interject some comedy and also make it realistic. Some of his reactions to her.
Yeah. No, I agree. There's a theory out there, okay, that would tie into your interests in some of our previous movies as well, that Robin Williams may have contacted one of his very good friends about how to do wire work and how to play this type of character. Do you see any similarities between his performance in this movie and Christopher Reeves as Superman?
Oh, very much so. And I remember reading that they were friends.
Oh yeah, very good friends. After Christopher Reeve had his famous accident, he says that he was feeling despondent to the point of suicidal until Robin Williams comes bursting through his door, holding his medical chart, demanding to see the head doctor because it was time to circumcise or something like that.
Okay.
And he said that that was the moment when he felt that things were going to be okay. They were very good friends.
That's awesome. No, there's very much a lot of the style of his flight in this movie is very much Superman-esque. I know the technology was very similar. Even though Superman was in the 70s, they hadn't innovated that much, obviously, at this point. I look for little footprints.
Yeah. Yeah.
There are a lot of... this whole sequence is the one time where I don't hate Julia Roberts, because I think that their interaction here is kind of fun. That he's funny, the glass is upside down, the way that he plays this, a little bit intoxicated, and just... Where this is like the one part of the movie where I feel like she's a little bit charismatic, but I feel like it just kind of goes off a cliff after this.
Yeah.
But and I'm not saying it's amazing, but like I think that he floats, he interacts with her well. The effects too are interesting, just because the kind of the flare off of her light works in a way.
Yeah.
Like it's effect. I mean, there's not a lot of digital happening here, right? This is mostly just practical.
Very little digital, lots of forced perspectives and rotoscoping.
Yeah. Well, because here, like, you can see like the color shift on his face, and they're trying to kind of get lighting right, and
Yeah.
you can definitely tell. But again, it's good for its time. I mean, this was hard stuff. I mean, this was not a super cheap film, and a lot of people don't think of this as an effects heavy film, but like the Tinkerbell stuff was work for ILM to do.
Oh yeah, the Tinkerbell stuff was big work. There's actually a scene later in the movie. Actually, it's coming up here very soon. That is kind of legendary. It's covered by Corridor Crew and a couple of other people. As at the time it was made, it's the scene of them flying over Neverland. Okay, that scene had every available version of method of special effects available at that time in it. Like everything. It had computer generation, it had rotoscoping, it had rear projection, front projection, all kinds of stuff. Many others that I'm not naming.
Yeah.
It had them all just
I'm pretty sure I've seen that
episode.
It's sorry, Robin Williams is sorry, I'm just
No, it's funny
fun.
because him being drunk makes, because I didn't catch that when I was a kid. Him being drunk makes that so much better.
Yeah.
Because it makes more sense that he's reacting this way.
Complex Freudian hallucination. Let me compound your legs. I missed the 60s. I was an accountant. What that is quite the flip, by the way.
It is. Yeah, this...
Oh, man.
Oh, wait, no, wait. Is the Neverland scene now, or is it later when he's, like, flying?
Well, I mean, you see both. I mean, because there's where he goes over the clouds, and then the clouds part, and you see that shot where you literally have, like, the compass, like, in the water, next to the ship and everything.
Do you want to talk about this scene?
I mean, I think it's
do you want this one?
Kind of cute. Go for it.
That the actors doing that are George Lucas and Carrie Fisher?
Seriously?
Yeah?
I did not know
You
that.
didn't know that?
I didn't know that.
That's like...
How did that not come up in any of the
movie
trivia that I was
trivia.
watching? That
I
was
don't know.
wow. I feel
Yeah.
like Wikipedia is just letting me down here because I started to go through some of the IMDb stuff and I just ran out of time. So
No, I totally get you.
so
Okay, so yeah, it's later in the movie
yeah.
when they have it
This is
look
the
like an
whitish.
actual map.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that's where he finally starts to fly, and you see him, where he fly, kind of turns and like
Yes.
he's like, it's a good sequence.
Yeah.
What a nightmare. I still want to
Hmm.
know why Tinkerbell dropped him here, like
Well, I mean, why not?
in the pirate village. Like why she wouldn't take him right to the Lost Boys.
Probably because she expects him to still be himself and just straight up attack and go get the kids or something like that.
this
You see,
sequence I like. So I'm not a most of my Neverland disappointment has to do with the Lost Boys layers. This stuff is all fun. I mean, it looks like a Disneyland set to me, but it's still a lot of fun.
but that's what I love about it. Like, I've heard a lot of people talk about that because, like, you look at this water and you know that they're on a soundstage, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because there's a look to soundstage water. Like, you go watch Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning, and you can see this really important Venice sequence is filmed on a soundstage because of the water. And this one, I love it. It feels like you're walking through a Disneyland attraction, and that's the right fantastical tone that I want for this movie. So I know that some people don't like it, but I also think that it's perfect.
I think though that it I hear you, but here's my actual issue with it though. Then is that I wish that this felt like it was a real place and not an attraction at Disneyland.
But why would you? Why would you want this to feel like a real place? It's Neverland.
I think that's but that's part of the. I don't know. And that's where I think that this movie can work if you take it just as kind of a fairy tale parable type thing.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's a real fantasy epic, just like we're returning to Neverland, and where this is actually a place where nobody ages, and there's this eternal, pirates and Indians and fairies are all real and everything. It's I want to believe that this is a real place.
Yeah. Oh, this right here is just an absolutely fantastic tracking shot.
Oh yeah.
Like, because these days you don't get a lot of actual tracking shots. You get a lot of like oneers, as they're called. But
Oh, these women. Sorry.
Okay, did you see the sign in the previous one that has like, 50 pence for a peek, full dollar for a sneak?
Yeah.
Like this is a whole thing to it.
The
But seriously, all this was supposed to be like a musical and big musical sequences,
and see, I could this would work well as a musical. The way they're shooting it, the way this looks, like you could totally see this stripped down to like a theater stage, and like this all being. I mean, I could buy that 100%.
Oh yeah, this is the shot I think I was thinking of.
I think we're kind of getting here.
But
It's
yeah,
also
apparently
so
it was
Bob
really
Hoskins,
difficult to film all this too.
Yeah, Bob Hoskins is also one of the other just gems of this movie. His Smee. I love his Smee. I know that there's a lot of people do, so that's not like a big deal to say, but I really enjoy it. I think almost every scene that he's part of, he just steals it.
Also, the Good Morning Neverland, I didn't understand that till I was an adult.
From Vietnam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bob Hoskins, did you know that he actually played Mr. Smee again?
No.
Yeah, he reprised his role in a TV miniseries called Neverland. That was kind of a not quite grim and gritty, but mid 2000s, 2011 feeling Peter Pan miniseries with like Keira Knightley as Tinkerbell and stuff like that.
I could see her playing Tinkerbell.
But Bob Hoskins reprised his role.
Interesting.
And actually, Cass Anvar from The Expanse was actually one of the main people on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
They have a giant crocodile at one point. It's kind of cool.
I do enjoy. I mean, again, a lot of this humor is very like it's not deep or complicated humor. It's just kind of like low hanging fruit, but it's still fun. And his,
Yeah.
the way that he just hates his pirates, but also, they have no idea. It's just fun.
Yeah. And I don't know. Dustin Hoffman's so good in this thing because he feels like a captain. He's chewing up the scenery, but he's also like gross. He feels greasy. You can tell that this is a man who smells like oil and potpourri, but in like
yeah.
a bad way.
Well, and oh yeah, just reeking of like bad perfume and well, and especially a little later when you see like the whole like getting his ear waxed to get his like mustache to curl. It's just like, oh man, this is just
And
rough.
his eyebrows.
His teeth, like his teeth are like the
Yeah.
perfect balance of like kind of gross but not overly done. Like just kind of his shoes.
Oh, there's a word for that. It's called British.
Ah, this whole thing, the whole
Mhm.
pointing, and and I want to see this as a play. I 100% think this would be better as a play.
Okay, you know about this scene though too, right? You have to know about this.
I probably do, but I've forgotten. Go and hit me with it.
This actor, right here. Surely you know that actor. You know the surprise.
That's Glenn Close, right?
That's Glenn Close.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
so many weird cameos.
The boo box.
There's so many weird cameos in this movie.
Sorry, it took me a second, and I saw I looked at him, and I was like, okay, you said that, I'm like, I remember there was something real about this, something like, and like, oh no, that is Glenn Close. That's totally Glenn Close.
Right?
Oh man, that would suck.
Yeah. The boo box is horrible. Do you know about how like one of the issues that Steven Spielberg had filming this movie is that a whole bunch of people kept visiting the set and he had to like show them around and give them a tour, and it caused him to like lose track of time and have a whole bunch of other problems.
Well, I know that he talked about. I didn't realize
yeah.
that was one of it. I know that one of the interviews I was skimming through, he talked about that this shoot went way over as far as the amount of time, and he said that he was working slower than he usually does during the production of this, and I would assume that's one of the reasons why.
Yeah. Part of it was that he had, he had trouble with the sets. He had trouble with some of the actors, which we've already talked about a little bit. But he was constantly distracted, and he was also just kind of working slower, trying to get it right because it was such a big production. But you had royals that came by. You had his friends who came through, including his friend John Voight wanted to come by and see the set, and he brought his 16-year-old daughter to look around because she wanted to be an actress too. And Steven Spielberg said that it would be very difficult for this gawky, brace-wearing teenage girl to become an actress, and now we know her as Angelina Jolie.
So this whole exchange here, right before they cut to his scar, that is an amazing just scene, because the amount of going on. You have Rob Williams, and you have Smee and Hook, and they're all like, the dialogue is fast and frantic, and they're back and forth, and like, and it's just pitch perfect as they're all just talking at the same time, and it looks very natural, and but also very kind of just funny and outlandish at the same time, and it's a good minute or two there.
Yeah,
and it's uncut. I think that it's one of the best little scenes in the film.
I apologize for talking through it so much.
Oh no, it's good. It's totally fine. But yeah, Dustin Hoffman was just having a good time here. I love he's still got the footprints on his white shirt, on his tuck shirt.
Yeah. Well, do you know about the arrangement that he and Bob Hoskins made in order to really make this like sell their performances?
Oh, what's that?
Well, they weren't feeling it super well. They were having trouble. You'll see it a lot later when they're like talking in his cabin and such. But essentially they were both sitting there going, "This isn't really clicking. How do we do this correctly?" They're like, "I know how to do this. Let's play it as if they're an old married gay couple."
It definitely. I can definitely
Like
see that.
they were trying to do it as like Captain and Subservient and like almost a Dr. Frankenstein and Igor type of thing. It just wasn't working. It's like let's make them a couple of old queens, as Bob Hoskins described it, and they said that it worked perfectly for their intentions. I love that.
Oh, this whole like, I already have. Ooh. Oh, I hate her hair. Sorry.
Yeah.
This whole sequence is there just like the pirates are just kind of like waiting. You just, I don't know. Just I love how Hook's kind of like trying to like accept this is all like real. Is this actually real? Like he's kind of half believing it, but also like, man, you're taking this bit like a long ways away. Sorry, not a long ways. You're really going with this for a long time. And
Yeah.
this devastating line coming up here though with his daughter saying mom could do it in like a second here always gets me. Just like as a dad, if you heard that from your kids, it would just be like, oh,
Right. Like I'm not a parent, as most people who are watching this know, and so I can't necessarily understand everything going on here, but everything that I've read on it, other people who have commentated on it have said just how kind of like bad they feel watching this because of those reasons.
Well, it's one of those that it's this weird juxtaposition of, the pirates kind of making fun of him, his kids. It's surreal, but it's also like terrifying, and yeah, just the idea of letting your kids down, being like, because this is where people, especially men, and I'm not going to speak to women's mind because I'm not a woman. I know for guys though, we all like to think, at least the ones that I know, like to think that if it came down to we'd rise to the occasion. We would do what we had to do. We'd all turn into that action hero to save our kids and take care of them if it came down to it. And to see like a situation where it's like you have to do something so simple and you're like, I can't. I'm not I'm not capable of saving my own kids with something this little. It's a nightmare.
Yeah. I absolutely see that. And
so
I think that some of this was rewritten afterward because of Steven Spielberg had just become a dad very shortly before this.
I love the detail of her knife on his nose. And then, of course, the whole pistol thing is just hilarious.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. I keep... one thing I'll say with the comp for her is the shadow is I mean, like, her feet are hovering, a little bit of that just kind of... a little bit of floating on what she's supposedly standing on. But yeah, it still is pretty solid. The fact that her shadow is like intact is not bad.
Yeah.
And the fact that they get her wings to still be transparent in the comp, like right there, like you can still see his hair through them.
That's very difficult to do.
Yeah, especially in 91.
And that's a pretty good scene too. Like shaking that hook. I wonder how they did that. Did they have like her with a big hook that she's moving, or was he moving a hook in, or was it a third shot in between the two?
Yeah. Oh gosh. Oh. Whoops.
Now he says a battle between good and evil to the death. Do they think that they're good and Peter Pan is evil?
I don't know. This always struck me as a weird scene. I think you just wanted an excuse to have the mermaids.
I was going to say, I think that it just has to do with them wanting mermaids.
I mean, I don't mind the mermaids.
I don't mind the mermaids either. I mean, the amount of glitter on them must have been a little bit uncomfortable for the actresses, but whatever.
I love that.
I'm sure Robin Williams didn't mind it either.
Yeah, I love that he adjusts his glasses. It's like, absolutely checks her out. Just... Oh, why not? Oh, yeah.
He probably thinks he's in a dream.
I mean,
Hey. It is a weird scene though. It goes on for a really
it
long
does.
time.
Just like,
Like an uncomfortably long time.
yeah. And then he's in a shell going up to,
Yeah, it's a shell of a thing.
Oh, man.
But like the matte paintings in this are incredible.
They are, yeah.
Because they use so many.
Is this like, okay, must be like some kind of automated system to get. I do. My stupid brain keeps wanting to like figure out like how this would all work, and it's like it's freaking Neverland, and it's a fairy tale, and don't worry about it. This is a cool shot.
I mean, the shell burped, bro.
Yeah, is like
This is a cool
the
shot.
theme kicking in here, and yeah, this is a combination of matte painting along with some practical effects, kind of comped in, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Random snow, like all right,
Right.
okay.
I was always confused by the snow even as a kid.
I was
Yeah.
always wondering too. It doesn't snow in London very often, but randomly this movie takes place when there's like snow in London.
Yeah. Yeah.
Does it rain a whole lot more than snow?
Yes, yes, it does. I loved this set as a kid. I get the criticisms of it, but I wanted to go here. I wanted to live here. One
Well,
of the
I felt like
criticisms I read,
She was just like taking a nap. She thought that Peter was dead, I guess, or like what?
I don't know. I wondered that too. I'm like, she must have. Like, did she just go sit to be depressed?
Maybe
Like,
she just cuts him down. Like he'll be fine. Man, the amount of physical gags that he gets in this movie, of just like he takes some hits.
yeah, dude, he's not having a good time.
I will say the
Um,
cast of the Lost Boys, I think, is a big strength. Though, as much as I'm not a big fan of the set, and we can disagree on that. I mean, they definitely seem like a group of '90s kids. This is the Sandlot recast essentially, but
Mm.
there's this is an example where I feel like diversity in a really fun way. You got a lot of different personality types. Yeah, granted, a lot of them are cliches, but you just got a really interesting group of kids there. And I think there's a lot of standout personalities that they get from like their wardrobe. You get, the guy that's like wearing like the sport coat, and you get, like
Yeah.
the twins, rocking the Boy Scout hats. He's like combs his hair there. He's like the Italian mobster of the Lost Boys, and
Yeah.
you get the big curly haired kids here, and even Rufio. Like it's a fun cast. It's a fun ensemble they pulled together for this.
Rufio is. I've heard Rufio described as an absolutely iconic character, and it's just like he's so ridiculous, and I love it. And poor Dante Brasco, only until recent years has he ever been cast as an adult. I saw him playing teenagers when he was in his 40s because he has such a youthful face.
I do love his hair.
Dude, well, they modeled him after, like, they wanted him to look like he belonged in the Road Warrior.
I mean, it works. I love that they have like ripped up jeans
Yeah.
in Neverland.
Right?
Mr. Skullkid
So,
with too much
like-
moose.
When was he taken to Neverland? Was it the 80s, probably?
Yeah, yeah.
It must have been.
It had to have been. Yeah,
Because that's one of the things they went for. They wanted them all to feel timeless, as if they were taken from different time periods, because they would have been,
yeah.
50s, 40s, you see 30s, turn of the century stuff. These are all kids who were immortals, essentially. And from all these different time periods.
You don't age, but you can still get stabbed.
Have you watched the Last Airbender series?
Not in any detail or quantity.
The cartoon.
It's such an easy, again, low hanging comedic fruit, but it's still fun.
And low-hanging fruit.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
Dante Bosco is one of the main voices on The Last Airbender. He's he's the character of Zuko, and he's great. He's fantastic, and he's been in voices and leads in so many things. I love him to death. This is the first thing I ever saw him in. Yeah.
It was interesting that they like messing with him, but not really trying to like kill him. Like
Yeah.
I was never really sure what like the Lost Boys like intentions were here, other than just having some fun with them.
I think that's just it. I think that they're malicious but non like they don't want to hurt anybody while
Yeah.
also having that like that immature malice.
Yeah. uh, again, I'm watching this for the first time, imagining this on a stage, and
Yeah.
just like with
The wardrobe and
with
keeping
musical
up with
numbers.
it, you know?
Yeah,
Right? Wouldn't that be just a heck of a thing?
I think
If
it
this
would
had been a
been
musical?
huge. I think this would have been like one of the biggest things on Broadway if it had been done right.
Do you know who? Well, there's a rumor that the casting was originally meant for Michael Jackson.
I did
And that
I did read
he-
about that, but he was more interested
Either
in
he didn't
playing-
like the story.
Yeah. Well, I think it was. Well, I read that he wasn't interested in doing the old, like the older, kind of jaded Peter. He wanted to play more of like a traditional Peter.
Yeah, it's weird that Michael Jackson, he would have been like in his 20s or 30s by then, was like, I want to play a child.
Well, there's some
Eh.
yeah.
There's some psychology there, I suppose.
Yeah.
Because he Neverland Ranch, right?
Yeah.
He
He
obviously
never wanted to grow up.
had a fondness, you know?
I always think of Rufio as being a big Michael Jordan fan.
I didn't grow up during the reign of Michael Jordan, so I never really paid attention.
Well,
I never really not paid attention. I never really
it's mostly just
associated that.
it's mostly just the black and red. The black and red was very much associated with Jordans and Michael Jordan, and that he's got he's just got that late 80s early 90s kind of vibe.
It's my
If-
favorite gag.
I do love the no hook like the art on the wall behind him, the graffiti. Just that he's like, well,
It's the first one over. It's my favorite.
he's like, I don't think I'm
favorite
Peter
gag
Pan.
in the movie.
And it's the only thing she says, just like, you're embarrassing me.
Yeah.
I do like this scene. This always, like, even as a kid, this always struck me as a very sweet moment here that this child actor just did a good job. With just this little part that he got, just the expressions he had, where he felt very genuine, like the way that someone his age would look, and just have the kind of open mind that somebody really young has. Like,
Yeah.
it's touching. The glasses.
Yeah.
And I think Rob Williams plays this well. Just kind of he just waits. He's not. He doesn't try to add to this. He's just kind of lets it be, which I think is really good. I think it would have been a mistake for him to try to add to this scene or like try to be funny back or do something back for this kid. He just kind of let it play, and I appreciate that.
There's a little bit of humor in his face
yeah.
in a couple of scenes. Every single reviewer or commentator, however you want to phrase it, commented on this scene and just like loving this scene.
Yeah, the music's good here too.
Yeah, and it is like, yeah, I don't even know what theme you can get out of it, like because you can say like, oh, childlike belief, or everybody has that inner child, and it just takes a minute to really look for it and stuff like that. You can say all kinds of things about it. I'm not
Yeah.
that smart.
No, I wish I had like sometimes every now and then I wish I had a more articulate way of like making it sound really smart, but it's just no, it's sweet, it's touching, and it gets your emotions, and that's ultimately I think what a lot of this stuff is supposed to do. You're supposed to get an emotional reaction. It's really too, if you watch as I go back and forth here a few times, it's not the same boys going back and forth every time. There's a few that switch up, which I like.
Yeah.
Some of the insults are also very just fun.
Yeah. The This guy, he didn't do much afterward, but the character's name is Pockets. Um, do you know the name of the the fat one? Do you know the character's name?
The character's name? No.
Yeah.
Give it to me.
All the Lost Boys have these weird names, right? This stuff like Don't Ask, Too Small, Latch Boy, things like that. Well, his name is Thud Butt.
Oh my god! Wow. Oh, you couldn't do that nowadays.
No, I love it though. Thud Butt.
I don't know if this will get us in trouble, but I do miss the days where you could just like have like the fat kid. That was like one of your characters. Like, why not? Have fun with it. And he's totally aware of it, and he just, oh man, this whole just makes me cringe. Everything he's doing to
Why?
like Hook's plate. Sorry, yeah, not cringe in the acting. I just am like thinking about Smee and the plate he's putting together here, and just that he's like gonna hand this to Captain Hook, and if somebody like did this and they handed me the food and I didn't know about it, it just makes me squirm.
Yeah, but what if it's your husband who you're always fighting with?
It's played brilliantly. It's just I'm a little squeamish about food, and so it just makes me go like, oh no, a piffy what? Oh, they really are. Yeah, an old married couple.
I
I mean, how many movies get away with just full on joking about suicide like this?
that's
It's like
true.
just making it into like a joke, you know?
Yeah, I could see that.
Right towards the camera here with the ship.
I always loved that little ship. I always wanted like his little setup there. Yeah.
Like just like it's just one of those things. I don't know. Again, I don't know if you could write the scene today.
It's just not again.
Yeah, and the way that
Well,
he
no
switches it here, just I did try to stop me. Get off your ass. Oh goodness. Oh, you broke your. I immediately think of the line from First Contact. You broke your little ship.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So you were talking about the lost boy who was combing his hair. And he's in the little sports coat like little Italian.
Yeah.
He's now playing stuff where he was in the TV show The Penguin.
Oh, really?
And yeah, actually, which is now being called a miniseries because they're not doing a season 2. But he's credited as Milo's grandpa.
Okay. I know I'll like that show. I need to watch it. I didn't get around to it and it was airing, and I have Max.
It's hard to watch. It is hard to watch.
In what way?
Brutal.
Just rough.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
really good. It's hard to watch. I love the mirrors.
Oh yeah. They're all different shapes, and just the idea that he sits here and like stares at himself. Again, you can believe that that's the kind of. It's. I hope Dustin Hoffman had fun playing this role because he looks like he does. He's acting like he does. You know, he comes across that way.
Yeah. Bob Hoskins, by every measure, was an absolute gem of a human being. Like on this role, he he would sing songs for people who were bored on set or having trouble because apparently it was a stressful movie to make. Apparently there was a big, long, complicated shot that ended up not going well and it had to be cut, so he went and bought beer for 300 plus extras, who just essentially put in all this energy and everything and the time into this scene. Yeah. It's a heck of a thing.
That is
But
cool.
he got him a beer.
Yeah, I hadn't heard that story, but that's really cool. I love that line that we just had there a second ago. That's what it's. We're talking about quoted lines in our families that we all know. And in my family growing up, the lightning has struck my brain line is one that my family would do quite often, followed by, well, that must hurt.
That's actually really funny because that's not the line that's quoted by my family. The one that's quoted by my family is, I've had an apostrophe.
Oh man, the earwax.
Yeah.
Ugh.
That's bad. It's so gross. Um, this is an interesting little plot device, though. I kind of like it. You know,
Oh, it's
it's done a little fast and stuff, but I don't know. I
oh,
like it.
he just takes his wine, leaves him the
Yeah.
umbrella. It is done fast, but it's also, I think it's one of the more interesting plot elements in the middle of the film, because
Mhm.
what would be the one thing that you could do that would just be like kind of the worst, like it's, you try to think of like what are some of the worst things you could do to Peter, because killing him, yeah, sure, you want to kill him. It's your whole dream you've had for however long he's been stuck up here while Peter's been living his life down on Earth. But man, taking somebody's kids and kind of brainwashing them, it's high up there. So I mean, it's not executed really well, although I do think the clock shop scene is pretty good. The baseball scene is also pretty good. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's a good plot device. My wife and I were joking about
You are old
we
and
should
overweight.
we should get this song on repeat and play it while we're working out.
Yeah. But again, you can see the musical coming through.
Oh yeah. Lose weight.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's just so on the nose. But it's just great.
Right? Yeah. Like, it's so weird
Give
to film
yourself
for
a
the
heart
kids,
attack.
though.
I love how much of his workout involves also other kids being, the counterweights basically.
Yeah.
You're just
You saw the one kid with a Civil War hat.
yeah, like a drummer boy. His big
Mhm.
old sword.
Yeah. Dude. The Peter Pan story is creepy. When you really think about it. Like, I
Oh,
get
yeah.
that it was started as a kid's story and everything. There's some dark stuff. There's a version of Peter Pan that I'd actually really like to see. Like, what if they made a movie that's like portrays Peter Pan as like almost like an eldritch creature that takes the form of a small boy. And Captain Hook is actually this like cursed person trying to like hunt him down and kill him for the safety of children.
Hmm.
I don't know. I like the idea.
No.
I love how everything's misspelled.
Yeah. There's been 2 live action adaptations in the last like 10 years, isn't there? Is there one like wasn't there the one with Hugh Jackman playing Hook, and there was one with Jude Law?
I think
Or am I?
you're getting a little old because definitely not the last 10 years. There's because there was the one with Hugh Jackman that had like modern music that was weird. Like really weird. Trying to remember because one of them was just called Pan. I remember
I
that.
know there was one recently, right?
I'm trying to remember. Let's see.
Because there's the 2015 Pan, and then Peter.
Yeah. Okay, because I was thinking of yeah, Peter Pan in 2003.
Pan is the is the one with Hugh Jackman. It's just called Pan. And yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Peter Pan and Wendy is the one with Jude Law. I know that a lot of people think of the 2003 Peter Pan is one that a lot of people really like as being a very faithful adaptation. But it came out like right around the same time as Lord of the Rings and everything, and nobody gave a crap.
Because yeah, I know there was one that was not well received that came out, like the Disney one, where they is that Peter and Wendy?
I don't think Pan in 2015 or Peter Pan and Wendy were very well received at all.
Yeah. Well, I know that like the more recent one, I mean, definitely where they they had to change a bunch of stuff, which I don't want to get into that whole conversation, but it pisses me off. And then I heard the Hugh Jackman one was like not bad, but just never really went anywhere.
It seems kind of weird. Like a bunch of Captain Hook and a bunch of pirates singing Nirvana. Uh,
Yeah.
I love the little girl's reaction to getting an F, though.
Oh yeah. So there's sorry, but that my there's a comedian who talks about growing up as kids in our area and era, and he has a whole thing about back when we were kids. We got an F. They skipped a letter to make sure you were failing. Just as like the American grading system, and it always triggered that. Oh goodness.
Okay, do you know the origin of the name Smee?
I do not.
The author created Smee as a self-insert, and the name is a pun. It's me.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Smee.
Smee. Well, you see.
God, he's so menacing.
Oh, he
so
is.
menacing.
Okay, as somebody in their 40s, I identify with this walk every now and then.
Oh, dude, I was supposed to work out just this morning, but I went on a run yesterday morning after kind of trying to help myself get back into it, and I was like hobbling. I couldn't do it this morning. I had to sit it out.
It's rough, man. Sometimes this scene, I always thought this was fun. I remember as a kid being confused and kind of having to like understand that it's just about rediscovering the power of your imagination.
Yeah.
But I know like when my just watching it today, and my my youngest daughter was watching, she like hadn't seen it before. She's like, wait, what's happening here? I mean, and she got it right away once the food appeared and kind of the theme of the film became more apparent to her. But it definitely was it took her a second to be like, what is going on here?
Yeah. Are you familiar with YouTube cooking channels like Binging with Babish? You ever seen him or any of those?
I'm familiar with them, but I don't watch very many of them.
I really like YouTube cooking shows, but he got a start on YouTube doing movie and TV show foods. Like, here's how you make these. And he did this, and the entire first half of it is him making the food from Hook, but he's using just empty bowls and not actually scooping anything. And always makes me think of this.
Well, I always found it interesting, these guys. I always found it interesting, some of the, like, a lot of the food that literally just looks like colored, like, marshmallow cream. It's used in the food fights. Like, what is this supposed to be? Is it supposed to be like a pudding, or is it supposed to be a, I get the meats and the fruits and stuff, but, like, the stuff that they, like, spoonful and throw at each other, like, what is it actually supposed to be?
I think it's supposed to just be like cream pie.
The texture is weird, though.
Yeah, I don't know what it's supposed to be. Almost like a custard.
Yeah. This is, yeah. What do you call it? Thunderbutt? Is that his name? Like
Thudbutt.
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 He is genuinely good in this movie, though. Also.
Oh yeah, he's one of the just absolute standouts to me.
I love the line "Gandhi" more than this.
Right. Movie.
How many late 80s, 90s films kind of had like the insult battles? I mean, I still think of, again, the first Ninja Turtles movie as being one of my favorites for like really good insult throwing films. This was definitely a trend for a while.
And you see, I remember a couple, but not nearly as many as you. God, I absolutely love the insults in this thing.
Oh, they're great. Great reading. I love it too that so many of his insults are just going right over his head. The adults are just chuckling like, "Oh, I get it."
Beat fart snipping bottle. I've never watched this with subtitles. I realized.
Oh man, some of these are just like nasty though too. It's like, yeah.
Scab picked is just ugh.
Weak old maggot burger. Substitute chemistry teacher. And he's like, what? Like, math tutor. Just prison barber. Nearsighted gynecologist.
Nearsighted gynecologist.
Oh my gosh. That is just like, That's a deep cut for like the adults there. The kids are like, "What?" Like, never mind. Uh,
The lewd food dude is something that we,
oh man,
yeah, it's something that we quoted.
munching on your own mucus.
It's paramecium.
Oh,
That's
Rob Williams
paramecium.
could he could just explosively deliver dialogue like few other people that's ever graced the screen.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're I don't know why I'd never again you're talking about subtitles. I'd never realized they were chanting banning his last name.
Me neither, actually. Yeah, I don't know. That looks like whipped cream to me, or like frosting.
That's yeah. It's just like flavor. It's like Cool Whip or something. I don't know. Cool Whip.
Yeah. Your imagination, Peter. It's a little on the nose, but I'll give it to him.
Does he have like a bone like on the top of his outfit?
Bone? I don't know. I wasn't looking hard enough.
I'm not sure.
I don't know what that is because it has a lot of legs.
About to say, I don't know if this all looks good or not.
It always makes me hungry, but I don't know if it looks good or not.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, I love his face. Like
so,
the imprint of his face in the cheese.
Yeah, that is fun. So did you take this as in Neverland they literally can create food from their imaginations?
Yeah. That was always my thing, is that like I always figured that Neverland was supposed to be some version of like an afterlife almost. And it is fueled by imagination.
Yeah.
Bangarang is an actual term. Did you know that? It's not just something they made up for the movie.
What's his origin?
It's Jamaican.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh man, this just explodes. So my mom always...
This is like the food fight of all food fights in movies.
My mom always got a little bit mom in this, and always she'd just be like, "Oh, it's funny, but I just can't stand how much they're wasting food." And it's like, but they literally created it out of nothing, so I'm not sure it's really a waste.
Yeah, Jamaican slang for an uproar, disorder, or disturbance.
Man, this coconut takes a long time to get to him.
Oh, magical moment. But it's not filmed very well.
No, it's like the coconut coming towards him is moving at a weird speed, and the way that he twirls, it's just it's the editing could have been tighter.
Yeah. The rooster crowing thing is not something I ever realized was super associated with Peter Pan until this movie either. It always felt really strange to me, but apparently it was a thing from the book.
Mm-hmm.
Who knew? And his eyes are perfectly clear. I'm like, did they put him in goggles and then just hit him with crap and then he took the goggles off?
It was kind of interesting. It was interesting too that he's like back in his like regular clothes again, and they're pretty much clean.
Mm-hmm.
Did they have like laundry service for him, or? I thought that this scene though was touching to me. Just the, but getting the Toodles marbles and kind of just talking about his happy, the happy thoughts, and there's I think it was good that after a really kind of silly scene and kind of that magical moment, just having this touching moment here was effective.
Yeah,
because it's funny, but not in a way where it's like it feels like naturally funny in this conversation.
Yeah.
Thud. He calls him Thud there. I never caught that again. I've never watched the subtitles either, and I'm picking up little things.
Yeah. For me, after reading several things where people think about the interpretation of the Peter Pan story and the Lost Boys, is they were boys that were like never got the chance to grow up or didn't want to grow up, and they're like rescued from death, pretty much. And it's just like looking at all the little kids and stuff in the Lost Boys in this. That one's dressed as a sailor. There's two others dressed as Boy Scouts. One of them's dressed in like a Union uniform from the Civil War, and they're I don't know if it's purposeful, but I can almost imagine there being a violent um end type of interpretation to their wardrobe.
Yeah. No, I could see that.
And again, here's the musical leaking through.
Yep. Tiny detail. I
This-
like Captain Hook's double cigar thing.
Mm. Yeah.
I think that's straight out
But
of
this
Disney
is
cartoon.
also
Good.
yes, it is straight out of the Disney cartoon. But this is the only actual one of the songs that John Williams wrote for when it was supposed to be a musical. It's an ugly little thing on, though, isn't it?
Yeah. This one pirate to the right as he walks back.
It's just
it's
so
just
enamored. He's going to cry. But I kind of hate the scene, to be honest.
Well, it's an odd scene. They do let it be rough, like a little girl singing who's not actually that good, which I appreciate.
Yeah.
Kind of the whole everybody going to bed and just there are some wide shots in Neverland that are really pretty though.
Mm-hmm.
It is interesting though
So
that
that
like,
actress never really did anything else either.
So are they living up on the top of that? Is that where the Lost Boys are?
Yeah.
It just doesn't seem nearly big enough for all the stuff they've got going on.
Well, I think that their little thing is kind of off on the cliff, and then they go to bed up in the tree.
It's always interesting too to me the idea that like Hook knows like where they are. Like it's not like they don't know, like it's a mystery.
Yeah.
Okay,
Like,
this is a weird
I
question.
don't know how
like,
they achieved that.
Yeah, I was just thinking like, how did that effect work? How did they make it? Would that Dustin Hoffman actually found a way to like make that work or animatronic mustache?
Yeah. Or the I also love the cork on the edge of the hook.
Yeah.
Big fan of that.
Yeah. Well, if you're gonna sleep with your hook on, that's the way to do it.
See, I love Bob Hoskins' face.
Oh, it's great.
He's just like he didn't know any better. And
He's
the
succeeding.
design of the Jolly Roger, though, man,
Oh yeah.
what a beautiful ship. Sorry, I cut you off.
No, you're fine. I'm like, it's funny. I literally just watched this 5-6 hours ago, and there are scenes
Yeah.
that I'm still getting into again. I wonder if the set dresser had fun with this set.
Right? Like, it's probably super stressful, but it had to have been some fun.
Oh yeah. At least it's mostly breaking mirrors, right? That's bad luck, not clocks.
Yeah. I don't think there's any type of lore associating clocks with bad luck. I mean, who knows? There's probably something always associated with bad luck.
Obviously, I smashed this clock, but it's like in perfect condition.
I don't know.
I do. Okay, what do you think about the idea that the crocodile, that famous kind of part of the lore is kind of off screen, that Hook actually like killed him and they kind of stick. I mean, like just that part of kind of the in between lore.
I'm actually just fine with that. I think that some little things needed to change. And if Peter Pan went away, then yeah, what's his face would have some free time to go hunt the crocodile,
Yeah.
to alleviate his need for violence. And I just wish that at the end the crocodile was more animate.
Oh yeah, it's a very static prop.
Yeah.
Man, that watch explodes.
Yeah.
His complaints, I do want to say, are on one hand a little bit like, really? Those are the big things? But, for a boy his age, those are probably the things. He starts with like really trivial stuff and then he progresses to the really deep stuff.
Yeah. This was a really effective scene to me. I think that this was a well done, well written manipulation, but
Oh yeah.
also like understanding of the dynamic between all of them.
Well, and it reminds you too, just kids. On the one hand, and this is where I think a lot of the Peter Pan, themes work for me, because on one hand, you want to tell kids, oh, you don't understand, you just don't have the perspective or the understanding to know why adult lives are complicated, and just why adults can't always live up to expectations and all of our problems. And at the same time, it's like, no, we make a lot of excuses because adults are
Yeah.
still very messed up, and kids actually in some ways have a clearer view of things because they're not so jaded and they haven't become so overwhelmed by just the busyness and weight of just adult life and all the crap you got to deal with. It's just that's where like there's the themes of adulthood and with the parts of childhood that are worth holding on to and not losing, while at the same time embracing that adult life is also an adventure. And I love that the end of this film, the end scene or two, as much as it's very kind of sappy and I anyways I like that, and I wish the movie had found a way to explore that a little bit more.
Yeah. No,
Wait, what are you talking about?
I
Go
agree.
ahead.
I agree. The kids in the trench coat get me every
Yeah.
time. I can't help it. I need to laugh at it. Apologies.
No, you're good. Oh, these are
Yeah.
the ugliest hookers ever.
They're
Oh my gosh.
probably do not have a great life.
No.
And I also think that they don't make anybody attractive in this movie.
No.
Kind of on purpose.
Yeah,
And I kind of
that's-
like it.
I do too. And like I said, I mean, I think it's okay. Smee is like the worst pitcher in the world until all of a sudden when he like needs to throw one good pitch and he's like, "Oh, I can do this." They do the curveball thing.
Yeah. Right? I did he have to teach them all how to play baseball in order
I
to,
think that's implied.
because they're all terrible at it.
They really are. They seem like people who were given, a 5-minute rundown 10 minutes ago and are now playing baseball, but still had time to make jerseys.
Right?
And they randomly have
Well, I'm
have sweatsuits. And
yeah.
he's just like, what is this? Running up and oh my gosh.
It reminds me of the Mario movie in a lot of ways.
Wait for the good pitches. Okay.
All
This
right.
is totally just I love this. I love this so much. But
Yeah.
yes, I forgot. Okay, we go back. Yeah, stealing second.
Yeah.
Just like pirate baseball. Oh gosh. I'm sorry. This is. I do not want this to derail us too much, but I just want to say I randomly did not plan this at all. But at church this morning, somebody gifted somebody the Pirate Bible because they didn't believe it was real, and so they actually got a copy off Amazon and brought it. Have you read it?
I have not, but I have heard of it.
Yeah, it is. And so I read a little bit of it. I
Alright.
read the first couple verses of John, and it is epic. Like you should just look up online and just read a few passages, and it's like the amount of work that went into that thing, and they get the pirate talk so well.
Well, I mean, you got any quotes for me here?
Not off the top of my head. Okay, here I will. While we're watching this, I will.
The run home Jack thing was pretty good. Like, I don't know, this really is a fairy tale, and I get why people didn't like it in some ways, but I don't know. I think it feels good. It's like eating a custard pie in a movie.
Yeah.
So wait, one team is called the Pirates. What's the other team?
I think they were both types of pirates. Was it just pirates and then like Smee's team?
Oh, okay, yeah. Okay,
They're
yeah,
just
it's a
pirates and pirates.
Pirates of the Pirate People.
Okay, so the Pirate
Yeah.
Bible was actually done using AI.
Okay, all right, fine. I mean,
It's
you got a
just
couple
funny.
verses for me?
I'm it is unfortunately behind that's it's sad.
A paywall.
Yes,
Womp womp
it's so
womp.
just
Typical. Typical. So sad.
it is. I'm like said,
Yeah.
um
I think this is the first time you see him out of any type of like suit. Doesn't he take that hat later in the movie?
he does.
And like I'm the captain now.
Yes. All right, I'm not. I
Like, he's
can't
so mad.
spend more time on this because I need to keep watching. At some point, I will hit you with some stuff.
I just
do
wanted
like-
you to be reading on the podcast in the pirate voice.
Pirate
It was just a
voice.
dream of mine. Arr.
I do appreciate that was a catalyst for him. It does work. I mean, it's straightforward, but it absolutely works as the catalyst to get him to try
Mhm.
to see to see his son. Although this is definitely a little gimmicky.
Yeah.
Because he had time, like the ball was like, as he like ran all the way back here, and the ball was still. It is definitely one of those like it's Neverland. Just go with it.
It was just making a circle of Neverland, which is a very small planet. But yeah, you can
Who's,
just
like-
kind of see.
I wonder like
What's
who the actor was who like come in like you're gonna be Peter Pan in a reflection.
Yeah, that's got to be a weird job. Like him in.
Ryan
Yeah,
Francis.
just touch your face.
His name?
Francis.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
He's having a good time, apparently.
Oh, the shadows.
Yeah, because the shadow thing wasn't really brought up much before this, and then all of a sudden, there's the shadow.
Well,
And
it's a big part of the original story, obviously, and Wendy, on the Disney cartoon, like sewing his shadow back to his feet, which I always thought was just,
It's bizarre. I didn't understand it. I still don't understand it.
It doesn't make
It
any
was
sense.
used in that really up and down mediocre TV show, Once Upon a Time. The shadow was like in a force of evil.
Oh gosh. Didn't they
Um,
get? Yeah, I remember Captain Hook in that show. Was Peter Pan in that show?
Peter Pan was in that show. He was actually like a main plot point because the shadow was like a villain, and Peter himself was like the son of one of the other characters, and they were trying to find him, and it was a big deal that they get reunited. Captain Hook became one of the main characters because everybody thought he was super sexy because he was one of those tall, dark, and handsome guys who wore eyeliner.
So this
Yeah,
is
my sisters really liked him.
oh gosh. So this is definitely where I feel like all right. So she didn't want to show him this. She wanted to wait for him to find it on his own, and then like this is the time to like put the sexy moves on him.
Yeah, right? Like,
It's just weird.
you're what? Yeah. I don't like this characterization of Tinkerbell. I don't like the way that it's acted. It feels like she's trying to seduce him, which is just weird for Tinkerbell in general, I
'Cause
think.
The like bratty, jealous Tinkerbell always worked quite well for me,
Yeah.
but
And
she plays this like so straight, which is just yeah, it comes across as just a little bit icky.
and especially since her character constantly looks like a lesbian. Um, that was a joke for legal reasons. I like the memory thing. I think that this has a dark side cave type of feel, Dagobah.
But I mean,
Cave.
him going through though and remembering all this, it's again. I'll never criticize. If this movie didn't have Robin Williams, if it had a lesser actor, I really think it would have lost a lot. I think a lot of the things
Dude.
that even that I have issues with, he saves single handedly.
I think about that a lot actually, because I think that if it was a different actor in so many of Robin Williams movies, they wouldn't have worked. I think of like Jumanji. I think Jumanji would have been garbage if
Yeah,
not like garbage, but not
it would have been super mediocre.
anywhere near. Yeah, it's classic status if it wasn't for Robin Williams. He's just that kind of actor.
Well,
Um,
there's a short list of actors that they're, and in some ways it's a little bit of a Well, here does this. Sorry, really fast. Does this scene kind of fit in with your idea that the people that are Neverland actually kind of had tragic ends in real life?
it kind of does. Well, I hate this whole thing because how is this baby running away?
Oh, it's a ridiculous plot line, and then like ran away, and then just out here in the rain, like this baby somehow like was aware and everything. It's just it's weird.
You could also read it as Tinkerbell grooming him.
Oh goodness.
I do not apologize for that.
But I was gonna say that Robin Williams, and on one hand, it's one of those actors that just you can't fully see past who they are. They can't, I can't think of a single Robin Williams, no matter how good he is, even in some of his dramatic roles where he's not being funny. Like famously a role like Good Will Hunting or something like that, or Dead Poets Society. It's still Robin Williams. Like you just can't not see Robin Williams. But he's also so much fun, and he's so good that he's a massive part of why the movie's good. And so it's like it's good and bad because it works and it makes for very memorable films, but there's also something to actors who just vanish into their roles and you recognize them as being great actors, but I think of Gary Oldman as one of those actors who's just can do kind of anything. And even though I know it's Gary Oldman and love him as Gary Oldman, but it's not like he's playing Gary Oldman playing a character.
Yeah, and there's the young Gwyneth Paltrow.
Yep.
And
It does. So one of the things I was thinking about this film is how time works. If he was gone long enough for her to age this much, does he just kind of like not realize how much time is going? Like, are people in Neverland not very aware, or is time not super consistent as far as how quickly, or if he's aged to this age, has he spent enough time in our world to age? Because is he aging every time he comes here, and so coming back and forth constantly has allowed him to age to this 13, 14-year-old boy here?
I think he would visit enough that like he wouldn't have aged because I don't think he stays for a long time. But also it's difficult trying to rationalize the time travel of a fairy story. But there is something that's famously used in a lot of stories involving immortals, in which they never really realize just how much time has passed. That time, especially when you're immortal, works a little differently for you, and it's very difficult to realize how much time has gone by.
Yeah.
For others, when you yourself are just so used to time passing you by without consequence.
Yeah. Because, that implies there that, like, he was gone for, like, decades.
Yeah, he would just pop up every now and again and be like, "What's up, girl?"
It's good that she never moved.
Such a dog. Right? He just shows up at a window someday and gives some dude a heart attack.
So coming up here as he flies out, I think that's where we're going to get that scene where the VFX are, really interesting.
Yeah.
As he takes off out of the ceiling here. I lost it. Oh man.
Find a
I-
happy place, find a happy place, find a happy place.
Well, the look on his face here, where he's like, "Oh, I can fly. Never mind." Yeah, very.
There's like a joy, but a mischief to it that's,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
pretty great. And then that's straight out of the cartoon. He does that over the moon in the
Oh, yeah.
cartoon. Yeah. Where did he find the clothes?
Yeah, he just instantly just is in the outfit. Here we go.
Maybe that's, yeah, this is the one. The amount of like the shadow on the clouds. The map underneath, the lighting matching. It also zooms out to like you see his feet and everything. That is such a hard shot to do.
Yeah, there's so
Like,
many
it's
elements.
nuts.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, warning bell. Spelled all weird.
Yep. Gotta be.
Just a little payback.
Right?
I do like too
Yeah,
that,
that
that
is-
this is where you see kind of like the kid and coming out of him again also more and more where
Yeah.
he's just like he's enjoying this. But and he almost like forgets he has kids. Like he almost goes like too far, for a little bit
Yeah.
and back.
That little
The
dust
dance.
effect on the ground is really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, this whole sequence is good. This whole sequence is genuinely good.
Yeah. Very playful.
Oh yeah. And again, the theme kicking in and
Yeah.
his hair change also kind of youngifying Robin Williams a little bit, giving him the little bit more youthful hair.
Well, it's not just necessarily youthful hair, but it looks just like what he had when he was younger.
Yeah.
This was a good scene. Like, you got the graduate scene here, the graduate angle,
Yeah.
and but like you think he's starting to fight. I don't know. It's just
This is like, but this tells
Oh,
you
yeah.
something about Rufio, though.
yeah. Rufio's a good character.
The pan.
It's. Did you read any of the stuff about the character of Rufio, or about the actor while he was doing this?
Not really.
He was kind of in awe of working with Dustin Hoffman, and Dustin Hoffman is famously kind of an a-hole when he's playing a-hole characters.
I can believe
And he was essentially the kid's acting coach was like, don't worry about him, he's just doing that because that's the way that he always does things. And apparently he kept badgering Dustin Hoffman to where Dustin Hoffman actually realized that this kid wants to be a serious actor. He's not just here having fun for kicks, and actually kind of mentored him a little bit because he
cool.
impressed him so much on this movie set.
that. Huh. I didn't know that. That's cool, though.
Yeah, I thought that was a really wholesome little story.
Aw. Love how many moons Neverland has.
Right?
It's like between 2 and 3,
It's-
depending on the shot. Okay,
There's some people who like. Oh yeah, go for it.
I was gonna say this scene. He's got like the contents of his wallet is in here, like his keys and his MasterCard and his certs down there.
Cert?
His certs, they're like the mint down there.
Oh, right.
Yeah, it's like all of his like human stuff in here.
But yeah, him getting kind of lost in the sauce.
Yeah,
This is the part when I think a lot of people are just like, this is what they talk about when they're just like, oh, it's not treading any new ground, because the actual story of it being, oh, he needs to learn to grow up, and that's the important part. When I think that it does genuinely add something to the story, because Brian and I discussed this a little bit beforehand, in that a lot of the reviews called it out as being superfluous because it doesn't add anything new to the Peter Pan story, where I actually kind of disagree.
I want to hear
really-
this. Yeah,
I really like the idea of, like, this is about a guy who needs to discover his inner child, which is good for people to do. I know some people who really need to get in touch with their inner child, but then you have the people who also go too far, and they're essentially big kids. And it is about finding that balance between the two. And I think that it is a really good growing up story and growing down story. And I think that it does add something new, and it is a really interesting take on Peter Pan. But I think that most people just kind of focus on the idea that, oh, it's just another Peter Pan movie saying that it's good to grow up. I don't know. I like it.
Yeah, no, and I don't disagree with the theme. That's where I think the movie played it safe by sticking to kind of being sappy and funny, and it could have actually taken the chance at getting deeper and exploring the themes you're talking about better. Because I guess I feel like what you're saying is there, but it, like I was saying, with just the dynamic of that balance of kids understanding their parents and parents understanding their kids, and finding that connection and that relationship being healthy, and where there's, you teach your kids to understand the responsibilities and realities of being an adult, while at the same time, when you're a parent, you look at your kids and you connect with them at their level, and you remember, and like all that's interesting and important. And I think this movie could have done a better job with that. And if it had just, and it's not a short film, it's 2.5 hours long approximately, and I wish that they had done more of what you're describing. I think the movie would have been better if it had taken itself actually a little bit more seriously.
Okay, I could see that.
Yeah.
I
Because my thing is that I think the movie, and I know again this is not unique or new criticism, but I think the movie kind of takes the broad strokes with its themes and just relies back on, let's just have Robin Williams do something funny. Too much, when it could have spent some time delving into Peter's, I don't know, just his growth,
psyche.
Yeah, because I feel like it's like, he has that one scene. Literally, it's Tinkerbell, and that's a classic shot right there, the sail. It's the one shot, like, Peter Pan doesn't have kids. Oh no, you do. Oh no, I do love my wife, and I'm gonna go rescue him. And it's just like that fast. And I just that should have been 10-20 minutes of, like, some sequences, some conversation, some kind of a situation that would have taught him that lesson and helped him, like, understand it better. I think the closest we got is like watching his son play baseball and kind of being a catharsis for, like, trying to learn what he needed to save his kids.
Okay, I could see that.
Yeah.
I also just kind of hate, I hated that entire scene of what's her face kissing him.
Oh, I don't.
I just really hated everything about everything about kissing, everything about Tinkerbell in this movie.
Yeah,
I really like kissing, actually. Ask my wife.
No, it's a, yeah,
just absolute cringy scene.
Yeah. What do you think of the this kind of final fight?
Love it. Love everything about it. I love the fight scene is really good. It does have that kind of, I'm here to rescue my kids, but then he does the whole sinister man thing, which is something he calls him in the book, and like, the fight is over the top, but you could tell that they put a lot of care into the stunts and how they designed things. I love the weapons of the freaking Lost Boys.
They are fun.
One of them has the egg throwing thing that straight up just has a chicken on top, as if the chicken is just like
laying eggs that fast.
like a biological magazine. Yeah.
Yeah. That was you.
You see, this moment more than anything is where I believe in this being a grown-up Peter Pan.
Yeah.
Where the others feel just like, oh, it's Robin Williams being gimmicky. It's all that stuff. Like this feels like a proper Peter Pan, but he's grown up.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
No, this is fun. When we finally get to the Hook duel with Peter, I do notice. I don't know how much Dustin Hoffman was actually involved or not, but I did notice that almost every big sword movement they showed his back and Pan's face. So I wondered if if Dustin Hoffman was not big on the sword fighting.
I never noticed that. That's
Yeah.
interesting.
When
I
we
didn't
get
read
there-
anything about it.
Yeah, I didn't read anything about it either. But when we get to that sequence, like, pay attention because it's almost you rarely see his face when there's any kind of full body movement with his sword.
Interesting.
I love Rufio's.
I mean, he's still a little bit like,
I love Rufio's outfit, all the bones and everything. It's cool.
yeah, and it kind of fits for his like super edgy, almost crow-like. Yeah,
Yeah, he's definitely.
this is before the crow though, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love their
Yeah.
armor in general, though. Yeah, the egg cannon and the. Oh man.
yeah, it's good. The chicken on top.
Well, I mean, the chicken sound effect is just great. The fires from hell that forged you. Okay.
Do you know anything about like actual golden age of piracy type of stuff?
Nah, not very much. No.
It's like the worst thing in the world would have been to be a pirate in the 18th century. In the 17th and 18th century. Like, it was an absolutely miserable existence. So I kind of believe it when he says the fires of hell that forged you.
It's just like it's very creative. This whole
And
sequence
I
is
love
just
the look
fun.
on his face.
Smee, do something intelligent.
He runs away. Smee.
He's so good. Oh, he's funny.
Smee.
Oh, it's good. It's just fun.
It is. That's another one of those lines
The whole
that
cannonball.
we quoted a lot as a kid.
That is not how legs
This
work.
is so dumb. Who had to make the prop of the little round black kid?
Oh gosh. The tomatoes.
And the sticky balls.
Those are they're tomatoes, aren't they?
Oh, the tomatoes. I thought they were the same things that were on the arrowheads that they shot Pan with earlier.
It just
And there's another one.
they use it twice. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Oh.
it's an effective his ultimate meter.
I love the
filled up.
oh man. I love that the repetitive action there of just the pirate just
Yeah.
the exact same hack over and over again in the exact same spot, just Oh,
It's funny,
man.
they really give him a lot of scenes
Yeah.
just doing crap.
My,
Those extras.
Oh man. Oh, down the pants.
Naturally.
Oh goodness.
Like, is he able to make his escape to Earth and he spent it all on hookers and blow and that's why he's sweeping streets at the end?
Maybe. Oh goodness.
Because the daughter's not really around during this time much, is she?
No, she literally
Like, I just realized it.
she
It's
pops
like,
up
whoop.
once in the window and that's it.
Yeah. Oh,
It's like his sword his fighting sword versus his
his show sword.
yeah,
Show sword.
show sword.
It's hard to say. Show sword.
I love his eye makeup.
It is good. It's effective without being like girly.
Yeah.
That must have been interesting to film because that looked like it was all in frame. So they would have just had him like
The pirate just jumps out the window.
the power of reputation.
Yeah, it's. I mean, they do a good job of not making it overly violent but still exciting. Like I think they definitely filmed this with kids in mind, obviously.
Yeah.
This when I was a kid, it caught me off guard that they what happens here. It's like
Yeah.
the one
No, it's
legitimately
a little dark.
dark moment in this movie.
Yeah.
Like the guy is not really trapped, but that's all right.
It's enough. You know, you believe it.
Yeah.
Like the chaos of all this is impressive.
Yeah. Oh, filming this must have
Yeah.
been just a nightmare.
I was gonna say, I would want to say it would probably be pretty fun, but in reality, it's probably a nightmare.
Oh yeah, trying to coordinate all this stuff.
Yeah, getting all the kids to be able to do their stuff on time and still fit within like laws and regulations. Yeah. But obviously we see the worth of Rufio's cool bone armor though. Um yeah.
Yeah.
Because they genuinely make him like a cool character. He's
Yeah.
fun. You don't know how many things I read where it's just like, oh, you know, as a little girl, Rufio, you know, had an effect on me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that, they kind of like Hook like gives Pam like a moment here. He just like stands there and he's like, all right, I'm just gonna let you have
Yeah.
this moment.
Well, he's all about the show and the big fight.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's fair.
It is though, you don't say out loud that you won until it's actually over.
Mhm.
Maybe Rufy made that mistake because as soon as he like
Yeah.
taunted him vocally, that's when he lost.
Looky, I got hooky. You're right, though. I'm like paying attention to Dustin Hoffman now, and he's just like, you know,
He never took
he
fencing.
wasn't in any of those shots. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, okay, does Robin Williams blink?
Not a lot. He's just,
Like, as Peter Pan, does he blink?
there he is. He just blinked.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
Definitely not often.
No, because I think it adds to the mania.
Yeah. He does that same kind of kick thing down. It's just fun.
Yeah.
I do.
So some rough mat lines, but you know.
Yeah, I do believe though that
Or
he would.
comp,
When Hook's like, hey, you're not gonna get rid of me. You should finish this now. It's
Yeah.
It's effective again. Taunt would work.
Yeah.
He's just like mad though.
I do. Right?
Like, hey.
I do like that he keeps his wedding ring on through the whole thing.
Yeah. You need a mom. I was saying
That's right.
I was saying to Jen though that we should bring back using a bad form as like a bad form. It's I like it as like an expression.
Yeah. I'm saying, Hook. Those were your children's children. I just remembered the way that he says that. He has such good delivery in this. Yeah.
So this final, I mean, you, yeah, Izzy. Oh, just you. That's right. Yeah, just you.
You.
I had a memory that I don't think was true. That he never actually, because I know a big thing in the cartoon was like, the whole like you'll fight me and not fly, and I thought they did the same thing in this. I remembered that, and obviously it's not true because I just watched it again, and it's like no, they don't do that. He flies all the time in this fight.
Yeah. The little overcoat that he's got, or waistcoat, is strange.
So okay, we got Dustin here, and then from here on, it's almost I don't know. I mean, I could be totally reading into it, but Robin Williams is clearly doing some work.
Yeah.
Like right here, we got dialogue.
You know-
He shows his face, and then we get to shadows, and then again,
I
we
never really caught that they actually used the death would be a really very great adventure. Because, like, I mean, Peter Pan straight up dies at the end of the original,
Yeah.
And because death was the great adventure he never knew. Yeah, I don't think Dustin Hoffman did any
Yeah,
of
and
this.
he puts his hook up right there to like kind of
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny. Maybe he was like injured or something.
Yeah, or he was just like,
I
I'm
love
not
this
learning fencing.
I love the sharpening the hook.
Yeah.
Um, Peter Banning. Do you,
What's that?
this that series of lines right there? Do you think that's supposed to be some sort of like? Oh, I forgot about this. I hate this.
Yeah.
The like pause and everybody's like, I believe it. I hate that kind of thing just in general.
Well, it's like an anime trope for me that it just always annoys me. The idea that like
I hate
an
anime
action
tropes.
scene, yeah, that's what I mean though. Like as an action scene, just like pauses for the moment, if the character just have like a moment.
Good. Blah. Blah. Um, but yeah, I always liked the scene of him like having him pressed down against it and he's sharpening the hook as he taunts him.
And then he uses the sharpened hook right in the next scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, like right there.
He's
Oh,
just
man.
flipping his hands around.
I mean, I guess this is one way to freak him out. Where do they get clocks in Neverland?
Bad form.
They
Bad
they fly down
form.
to England, just pick up clocks.
Right?
So we're Lost
Like all
Boys.
the little petty theft.
Yeah. So yeah, okay, we're getting here to this kind of final. I just thought the whole prop of the crocodile was just lifeless and just I don't know, just didn't look good.
I think it looks good as a dead prop when it's supposed to be stuffed and turned into a clock, right?
Well, yeah, from a distance, but
But
yeah, just good.
I feel like if it had fallen and eaten him, he shouldn't have just vanished into the mouth. It's probably way outside their budget and capability of this time. I wanted it to like walk away. I wanted it to like, close its jaws, have some life in its eyes, and break out of its little thing and slither away. No, that's just
That he gives him like the dignity of his bringing his wig back.
Mhm. Right. I also realized there's no like mourning for Rufio by the Lost Boys.
Yeah, they move on really fast. I mean,
Mm.
there probably was afterwards. We don't get to see any of the, the post battle stuff
Yeah.
up on Neverland. Like, what do you mean he
Hmm.
can't hurt us anymore? Like, how can you how is this different somehow? What actual problem
Right?
has Peter
It's-
solved here as far as like Hook no longer being able to be a threat?
Right? He'll just wait in his immortal area and just like he'll just wait in his little immortal cove and wait until Peter's older and decrepit and has a bad back, and then he'll come do it again.
That I also okay. So right there, that editing that should have been a little bit faster because Peter Pan has like a decent amount of time to pull his sword out right there, and just kind of grabs the hilt and then backs up, and it just doesn't sell me as somehow he couldn't react fast enough to deal with that.
Yeah. Like, I think it would have actually been a more interesting and kind of fun death if he had just been crushed by the clock.
Yeah,
if they
'cause
couldn't
that's-
have this thing be like an actual,
Yeah, because that the head
prop.
going down and the mouth opening a little bit is literally the only movement this thing gets, and then this as it falls, it just looks so fake.
yeah.
It
No,
looks
this
like a
is one of those
statue.
things that bothers the crap out of me.
Well, especially how stiff the nose stays as it hits the ground,
Yeah.
and then as they walk up to it here, it just there's nothing organic looking about it.
No. It's very clearly like plaster and plastic. The burp is nice. But yeah. I wanted it to be alive, But that's just me.
Yeah,
Mama,
everybody's
fuck.
just
They keep her in the nightgown like she's Wendy.
yeah. Hooray for Pan the Man! He's like hooraying himself.
Right? That's not a terrible moment to me.
No, it's not terrible. It's just I noticed it.
Yeah.
I feel like there's definitely
Yeah.
some of the little chime moments in this. I feel like definitely made their way into Jurassic Park's theme. Also, I think of the track where Hammond's talking about the flea circus.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yep.
I don't blame John Williams at all. I mean, you don't write music for that many decades and not have some stuff that just reoccurs. Uh,
Carries over.
I can't think of any
Yeah,
musician
James
who
Horner.
works that long.
Yeah, it's a pretty quick exit from
Yeah.
Neverland, isn't it?
Well, I mean, it just we wrap up
Um,
really fast here.
Yeah.
I do appreciate
There's.
this though.
It's funny that you.
Good.
Oh no, it's funny that you bring up Jurassic Park because the kid from Jurassic Park actually auditioned for the role of Jack,
Mm-hmm. He's too
and
young, right?
he was too young. So she's like, "I'll get you in the next one."
And I mean, if you were gonna be in one of the two films as a kid, which one would you rather?
Yeah.
I mean,
Did-
although there
do you,
definitely was some fun kid parts in this for sure, but yeah, I think that was it with Joseph Malonzi, or how do you pronounce his last name?
Malozzi.
Malozzi, yeah. I
Um,
think he did a good job as Tim in Jurassic Park for sure.
do you know the story of this scene?
No.
They surprised the kids with it. Only Robin Williams and Steven Spielberg knew who was going to get the sword.
Oh, so you get kind of like a genuine reaction.
Yep.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. I mean, in retrospect, you can like totally see it through the movie. But apparently there's a whole bunch of scenes that were cut with all these boys and everything like that. So they didn't know who was going to be the big one, you know? They didn't know who was going to be next.
Never bugs. Little.
Yeah.
So
it's a good scene.
Yeah, it is. The music's like sweet and yeah, the close-ups. To
Kid's
kids
just got a good face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The freckle one there, just they get all of them here pockets.
Yeah. Do you think that kid's red hair's real?
I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So he like runs out of fairy dust on the way back. Is that like that's what he says?
Yeah, I guess.
The whole sequence. I mean,
that's kind of his excuse, I think.
yeah. So as we have all this, and I find this is definitely, although this leaf is so fake when it hits her, it always bothered me. Not always, but it's such obviously a plastic leaf.
Yeah, well, I remember like when he's getting all tangled up in vines and everything like that at the beginning. I'm like, I know exactly where they got all those vines. I see them all the time at like Costco and Lowe's.
They went to Michael's and just. Oh gosh!
Just tied it to some chains. And they're like, they're not like, Mom, we're back from being kidnapped. They're like, let's just let her sleep. Like, bro, wake her up. She's so scared.
Yeah. Well, we don't actually know how much time has gone by. I mean, has it been 3 days also? Or has it been it could have been weeks back here. You have no idea. It doesn't seem like a lot of time has gone by.
No. And did this actress go on and do anything else? I don't really recognize her. I apologize if you guys hear my cats fighting.
Colleen Goodall?
Daughter of Jane. No, okay. Looks like she still acts. She doesn't do a ton. She's around. Lots of British stuff.
Well, I think a lot of the, some of this, they just had good careers in the BBC and that kind of thing. Yeah, like we're gonna pretend to be asleep and just like it is like kind of messed up when you think about it. Right? Oh gosh,
dumb kids. Robin Williams' entire upper body was shaved for this role.
Well, he's usually a hairy dude for sure.
Yeah.
Is this supposed to be Peter Pan or Pied Piper?
I assume Pied Piper doesn't look Peter Pan-y to me,
No, I just always
and he's piping.
yeah, a little chilly. Yeah, I always thought this was like they just
Kitties.
I
Yeah.
I always wondered if they just wrote this as like what's one last kind of funny scene we can have with Robin Williams.
Yeah, and then there's Bob Hoskins. So I've heard some people get mad about this whole thing because they're just like, um, is this supposed to be all like,
Dream?
was it all in his head? Was this all a fantasy? Like, is there just some sort of weird Feywild warping going on here? Um, yeah. I do kind of like this whole thing. It's not the worst parting between them, except that I just don't really like her.
Yeah, no,
Performance.
I actually think the dialogue here is pretty well written. I think the idea of because I mean that is I think people can relate to that kind of odd time when you're about to wake up and the way that dreams work and just where you have that memory is kind of strange and like I mean that is kind of a surreal thing that I think most people can relate to. That is quite
It's
the
referred to
stunt.
as hypnagogic hallucinations.
This is just like classic Robin, just way over the top, but just funny. Just with the dog and
Yeah.
your jewel machine.
Yeah. And Maggie the dog, that was a thing. You remember the original um the cartoon, I should say, where they had the dog and the
Oh, yeah.
dog was trying to like fly off with them.
Yep. Oh yeah.
We
It's
can't
just
make it,
digging like a dog.
Nana.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
He's like wow like the cell phone.
It's
What was that?
bad.
I think people listening today would realize that cell phone batteries used to last this long.
Right?
Duel to the death. Oh god, drain pipe. Just so nonchalant about some of this stuff. It's just fun.
You gotta go climb a Jane.
Why? Just like
But the thing is, this is the 90s, right? And he's a big business in. It's because I ran out of fairy dust. Like, oh, there's gonna be a whole bunch of
yeah.
people.
I want
You
like
know.
the prologue, like when he gets back to New York and he has to explain like what's going on. Like,
She's like, you were on a lot of fairy dust, weren't you, bro?
oh, love that. Like, kind of his wife is just totally nonplussed about him showing up like this. Like, oh, you're back. Like through the window.
It's like,
You like,
yeah, I feel like she's gonna need some
like
therapy.
well, and then because like we get Toodles. No, is it Toodles? No, not Toodles. Yeah,
Toodles.
Yeah, Toodles. I'm like, sorry. In my mind, I'm
He lost his
immediately
marbles.
yeah. Then he flies out. That she's just like, okay, she's just rolling with it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to imagine the conversations after this, where it's like, no, this fairy tale's actually real, and I'm actually Peter Pan, and I'm actually like hundreds of years old and came back to because I fell in love with you while you were sleeping.
Yeah. And then he has like a little reference here to Dead Poets Society, right? Doesn't he yell something like "Carpe Diem"?
Oh yeah, he does as he's flying away. I think so.
Yeah.
I didn't lose my marbles after all.
Was he supposed to be just like crazy live-in friend?
I think
Or-
so. I think Wendy was just
or
taking
was-
care of him. I think he got stuck, and Wendy just took him in to take care of him. I think again it comes to the idea that the Lost Boys are not, suited for regular life.
No, no. Yeah.
I love that the marbles had a fairy dust randomly in them too. Like just all right.
Yeah.
It is. I mean, it is definitely just an over the top sappy ending, but it is fun. As he flies
just-
away, his whole flight
They're just
path
like, oh no. Because
sees the day.
you better be careful because seize the day, right? All right, so you know how you have Alzheimer's patients who you have to keep from wandering off and like walking away, or else they won't be able to find their way back?
Yeah.
What happens when they can fly?
Oh goodness.
All right.
I do
Also,
love
I
the whole,
now
like,
have an idea. I have an idea for a new edgy superhero show, which is about all of them getting really old and having to deal with their powers as they're failing through senility.
oh gosh. Yeah, I love that he like goes around, rounds Big Ben, like just, and then he just does some loop-de-loops here, and just like, just, all right. Just
And this
cartwheels.
is the
Oh man.
second movie of December 1991 to reference Second Star to the Right and Straight On Till Morning,
Yes. See,
with the other being the wonderful Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country.
yeah, I always like that reference at the end of you mentioned at the beginning of this that Dustin Hoffman and Rob Williams getting kind of equal billing there.
Yeah. Because Dustin Hoffman, he was like a classical actor. There's that whole thing going all the way back to like Laurence Olivier, right? Being
yeah.
like, try acting, back in the 70s. So Dustin Hoffman's he's like old guard.
Yeah, he's a in that classic era. I mean, he's one of those that kind of bridged the golden age of Hollywood, and kind of the modern, going in through the 70s, 80s, and 90s, is still acting really well, and I'm having, still having big hits in the 90s, like movies like Rain Man and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is one of those movies that I enjoy. I mean, all my criticisms of it, I feel like I stand by them, but I also, none of them make it to where I can't just enjoy watching it. If people want to watch this movie, I'll happily be like, yeah, throw it on. It'd be fun. It's fun to watch what Williams do. Like, there's some movies that are, the problems I have with them make them hard for me to enjoy. This is definitely not one of those. It's just one of those where I feel like there's things that could be tweaked. And this is one of those where I feel like they're either go full just like musical and just have a good time, or make it a little bit more serious, delve into the themes a little bit more, really, have some stuff. Because we know Robin Williams is also a fantastic dramatic actor, and you could have had, I'm trying to think of what character in Neverland he would have had that with, but maybe if Wendy was a little bit younger and came back with them, or there was some kind of I'm trying to think of like, so, we talk, we've had this in movies before, right? We're like, how would you fix this? I'm trying to think of like, what vehicle would you use to like explore those themes that would work and not feel like it wasn't natural or didn't belong there naturally. And I'm not entirely sure what that would be. Like, I almost wish this movie would kind of go, would swing totally into just the, let's not even try to explore more themes. Let's just have some fun, or let's get a little bit more serious, and let's dig into what being, what finding your inner child means, and also recognizing the beauty of adult life. That adult life is not just, the sucky parts. It's also the amazing parts about being a parent, and about experiencing marriage, and about experiencing, just the passage of time. That time is actually a beautiful thing that helps us to appreciate things. And, there's a lot of stuff there that you could get into that this movie thematically could easily have gotten into. But I'm trying to think of how it would do it and not make it feel contrived.
Yeah. I kind of was thinking the same thing. Like, because I was going to ask how you would fix it, but I almost feel like it shouldn't be fixed. It is very much a flawed movie, but its flaws are also one of the things that I think made it stand out to children so much.
Oh yeah.
That made it such a nostalgia trip. And I don't know, I've seen so many people be defending this movie as an absolute masterpiece of the 90s, that Steven Spielberg shouldn't hate it, he should love it, and he's talked about wanting to rewatch it and kind of reassess it from today's viewpoint and the effect it's had on people. But it is very much a flawed movie. it's rough in places. It's inconsistent, but it doesn't need to be perfect. You know, it
No.
doesn't need to be. I don't think anything in it needs to be fixed.
No,
Personally, and I don't want anything changed or fixed from it. Where other movies, like last week doing Revenge of the Sith, right? Love that movie. But I do wish that there were things about it that were changed, that were a little different. This movie, even though it's not very good, I don't want it to be different.
Yeah. Well, this movie...
Except maybe Julia Roberts.
There you go. It's always something. No, this movie undoubtedly has charm and nostalgia in it that at this point I wouldn't change this movie at all. I mean, this is the kind of movie that, yeah, if you go back and tweak a few things, maybe, but it's important enough to enough people, and it's a reminder of just how movies felt back then. You know, it definitely has that Spielberg kind of feel to it with the music and the themes with the father and son, and just there's a lot there to love. And I mean, that's what I mean. Like, this is a movie that I agree with you in that I have issues with it, but I also wouldn't. It doesn't bother me. This isn't a movie that I'm watching and I'm just like, oh, I have to tell everybody that no, this movie that you love is actually bad. You know, it's nothing like that. And there's movies that I have a version of that for me. I try to never be rude about it. But, you know, there's movies where it's like when people say, oh, I love that movie, that I kind of want to be like, there's some things. Have you ever thought about this or this? I kind of enjoy that conversation. I don't think this is one that needs that. I think this is a movie that, no, people that love it, just enjoy it. Go for it. And I'm happy for them, and I will happily enjoy it with them without feeling the need to share my, you know, the little pet peeves I have about it.
Yeah.
Although we've just sat here and done that because that's what this podcast is. So there you go.
That's what it is. Man, Steven Spielberg has this story about this movie that's pretty intense in some ways, or emotional, I should say, where the day Robin Williams died, he said that he sat down and he turned on Hook, and he hadn't seen it in many, many years, and he had to turn it off before the first hour was over. And he essentially just sat on his couch and cried for the rest of the day.
Really?
Because, Steven Spielberg and Robin Williams became incredibly good friends. And they met during this movie. And he was talking about how the best thing that came out of this movie for him was his relationship with Robin Williams. And his death had a huge impact on him. Very few actors ever. I'm not a huge celebrity person. I don't like celebrity worship. I don't like the way that people will just follow around everything they do and all this stuff. But it's just like one of the few celebrities whose deaths had like a genuine effect on me was Robin Williams.
Yeah.
He was just such an integral part to anybody's childhood through all that. And this is one of my like fondest memory movies of him, and it's one of the reasons why I'll always love this one.
Oh, and that's totally legitimate. I just want to say with us, I agree with you on the celebrity stuff. I enjoy celebrities I really enjoy the craft of making film. And so the ones who are really good at it, I genuinely enjoy hearing about their experiences and kind of how they do it and how they approach it and their memories of kind of how things went. Like, I really enjoy that part of celebrity. Like when it's celebrity, it's not celebrities, it's actors. Because there's other celebrities I couldn't care less about. But the idea of an actor being somebody who I find their craft very fascinating and understanding how they do it. There's a lot of other, you know, really interesting professions that I feel the same way about. So it's just the behind the scenes interest, which is the whole driving force of this podcast. So, but yeah, the whole like them as a person being, but I think that there are actors who left their mark on, like, I know that, I mean, when Leonard Nimoy passed, that was very, that really hit me. And I know when William Shatner passes, that's gonna matter. And it's not necessarily about them as a person, but that they did contribute something that really impacted me, especially as a kid. And there's there's power in that, and I think that they the creative collaborative efforts of writers and directors and cinematographers and actors, there was something to be celebrated there. There's something to be really admired there, and when I think that appreciating that is worth noting. And Robin Williams is definitely high on that list for me. Also, I know that I find it incredibly, and I know this is a really simplified version of the full story, but when you have somebody who acted in such a joyful way, ending their life the way that he did, it's just kind of extra tragic. And again, I know that's a really simplified way of looking at it, but it is still extra sad for me.
Yeah. Yeah, very much so.
It's just reminds you that everybody's got demons, and especially, that people, how people present and what they deal with internally. And I know that he had a lot of other, things going on. So
Yeah.
I don't want to. I'm not trying to just bypass that, but just there's just something extra sad about somebody who was such a funny, charismatic, energetic, by appearances happy man, dealing with those demons that eventually drove him to that point in his life. It's just very tragic.
Yeah. So true, especially with like his like sickness
Mhm.
and everything like that. Man, just
Yeah.
what a life and career the guy had though.
Oh
And
yeah.
this is the way that I remember him most. Love this movie for it.
Yeah, and see, it's a toss up for me, between weirdly, I think of his Genie to me, like that's
Okay.
my
Yeah,
touchstone for that and Good Will Hunting. I've always, I know that's a cliche movie to bring up about him, but his that scene where he just kind of just puts Matt Damon's character in his place on the bench. It's just one of those scenes where you're just like, dude, one, it's just powerfully acted, and it's also just this really intense takedown of experience versus intelligence. And you know the scene I'm talking about? Are you familiar with it?
I've never seen it.
Okay, you don't have to see the whole movie, but like, just do me a favor and like at some point, just look up. It's on YouTube, and it'll have millions and millions of views. And it's just Robin Williams and Matt Damon, where he's just lecturing him on like about life a little bit, and it is fully. There's nothing comedic about it. It's just you want to see Robin Williams' dramatic chops. And those were the two. So Genie on one hand, and this really intense dramatic scene. Those were like the two big touchstones for me for Robin Williams. But this was definitely high on the list. Also, I don't mean to dismiss this at all. This was definitely a big deal when I think of him. This is probably top 5 for me as far as most memorable roles he had.
Yeah, same. Yep, this, Jumanji, and Aladdin. Well,
Yeah,
we should probably wrap this one up
we
because
should.
it is a long one, but I'm actually like happy to not talk about this one anymore. There's little things you can dissect, but it's like there's so much debate out there about this these days. It almost seems to run along generational lines of like older people who don't like it, people our age who do, younger people who tend to be kind of ambivalent or kind of cringy about it. And I love it. It should be appreciated, and I'm so happy to be able to look at it. But it's just probably won't look at this movie again until like I have kids who are old enough to maybe appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, I was happy that all my kids, when I showed it to them, they did laugh at it. They did enjoy it. They didn't get too into the weeds. They just kind of took it for what it was supposed to be. Just a funny, fun adventure film that reminded you to value your family. I mean, and that's a really simplistic way of it, but I mean, that's kind of what they took away from it. And that's okay. That's an okay thing to take out of this and just move on. No, I feel the same way. This is a movie that I don't ever feel like fighting with somebody about. There's movies that I will get like, all right, let's go, and this is not one of them. I'm just like, no, this is fine. It has issues, but I'm good with it just being. But we have quite a different tonal shift next week. And what's that? Well, I want to tease it. It's just that we're going to be doing an original and a remake. I'll just put it that way. And the original is what I would consider one of the greatest dystopian sci-fi. It's a director you hate, but it's a movie that I love. And then the remake, which is perfectly fine, but just doesn't hold a candle to the original. So,
Yeah, it's
that's my tease.
the remake is one of the movies to have ever existed.
It is. But I'm looking forward to it.
And dead or alive, I'll be there.
Touche. But leave us a like, leave us a comment. We'd always like to hear from anybody here. If you stuck with us this far, we appreciate it. But feedback is always appreciated. Thumbs up is always appreciated. A little share is always nice. But let us know what you think of this. Was this a childhood thing for you, or was this something that you discovered later in life? Yay, nay? We always enjoy your guys' feedback, so let us know. But have a good night.
There's doors and corners, kid. If you don't clear the room, if you don't come in slow, that room will eat you.